Is 6:35. I will announce that our meeting, those attending tonight's meeting should be aware that the meeting is being audio and video recorded by ASRSD. Any audience members who wish to record any part of the meeting must inform the chair, who will announce the recording. This is to comply with the Mass Wiretap statute. The listings of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. I will now move on to public participation. Is there anyone in the public that has any comment about anything on our agenda this evening?
Michelle, can you see?
I think Laura does.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't see. I'm not. Go ahead, Laura. I'm sorry, I can't see you.
Okay. Hi, Laura Warner, parent of a rising second grader at Page Hilltop. I also have a 3-year-old at AR Kitty Depot and an 18-year-old who just graduated from Littleton High School. I'm an educator. I worked at Parker Charter School for 15 years. I work at Phillips Academy in Andover now. I'm a licensed school principal and a veteran of the U.S. Army. So just a little intro. I sent the members of the school committee a letter, and I heard back from one of you. Thank you, Michelle, for responding to my email. Mary, thank you for responding today as well. And for Steve Kendall, the athletic director, for responding to the email. I wanted to comment on the business of the Diversity and Equity Subcommittee, which is listed in subcommittee reports. I had been in contact with Sharice earlier this year and had offered to join the committee, but I'm told they are not currently meeting, even via Zoom. I had sent the letter to you guys and then also posted it so that members of the public could comment and also sign and support. And right now I have about 150 signatures from parents, students, former students, and community members. And right now I wanted to read to you some comments I will send to all of you next week. This is from a current student at A.R. Shirley Regional High School. I've learned more about Black history in the past 2 weeks than I ever did in school. I feel ashamed when things are brought up that I should have learned in school and I have no idea what they are. We vaguely learned about the Civil War, and what we did learn was whitewashed. We sympathize with the Blacks who went through that time, but we never really learned what their perspective was. We also learned flat out lies. For example, we are told everyone loved Martin Luther King Jr. and that everyone looked up to him. However, most people did not like him and didn't support him. Everything we heard and read about was from a white person's point of view. There's a lot that can be changed if we started teaching all of this history, the truthful history, at a younger age. It'll make the kids realize there needs to be change so that they could actually help this change happen. I've seen racism in the school system. There's certain Black kids who will get in trouble and pulled out of a class just for tapping a pencil or doing something very minor, while some white kids can do so much more and not even get a punishment. This happens repeatedly to the point that some of these kids were being taken from class every day and no one really knew why, because they were behaving just like the rest of us. Another form of racism that occurs almost every single year is that we completely ignore Black History Month. Actually, I can't remember one year where we even acknowledged it. In middle school, we didn't learn about racism at all. This is one of the most important times where we should learn, because this is where we're forming our ideas about the world. I have 2 more comments. I'm just sharing a snippet from a parent of a rising first grader at Page Hilltop. As a parent and a pediatrician, we need to incorporate a deliberate curriculum throughout the entire school to educate our children on topics of race. Books should model strong leaders of color. Any video should show diversity while limiting stereotypes. Teachers should come from diverse backgrounds. We can't be colorblind. We need to make a deliberate effort in making change. And one more from the alumni at UMass Amherst. There have been countless incidents of microaggressions in the school throughout my time there, and a distinct lack of reprimand and education. While in high school, some teachers did an all right job challenging the American history taught to us all these years. But the community needs to see better education on these ills at a younger age. Staff needs diversity training. They need to be told never to make jokes regarding race towards children, as I and many others experienced some of our first "why am I treated differently" moments under the arms of educators. Their compliance teaches our children that these jokes are okay until they're harvested into emotional barriers between races. Please stop teaching skewed history. I read these to you just as an example of some of the comments that community members have shared, and I'm sure there's more. This was a letter posted to the Facebook community pages, and I turned off comments. And as you know, if you were on any of those Facebook pages, if you didn't think racism existed, all you have to do is read some of the comments. And I ask you to please consider taking some direct action and responding to these stories. I know that some of you are planning to go to the march tomorrow at the high school, and I urge you to listen with an open mind and to try not to be defensive and to try to respond to the concerns of students, of parents, and of community members, and to take stronger action. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Warren. I appreciate your comments. I do want to say, and I should have noted this in my email, it's been kind of our practice as a school committee that the chair would send a response to emails like that representing the full board. So I don't want you to think that the lack of response from other board members was because of their disinterest or, lack of, caring about the topic. It was more me responding on behalf of the committee. So I should have said that in my email to you. I apologize, and I apologize to the other members if it made it seem as though they were disinterested and not responding to you. I also want to just continue and say thank you, and I look forward to getting those comments and reading through them and seeing the experiences that our students and community members have with our district. I don't know if members have any other comments.
I'd just like to say a few things. Thank you for writing the letter too. I am also an educator in a district not too far from here. This is certainly not unique to Air Shirley. I spent some time this week
Can you guys hear Cheryl? I'm not hearing her.
Not at all.
Cheryl, you're muted.
Cheryl,
Right, how much did you hear? My computer spontaneously mutes me. I'm like, I'm literally not touching anything. I cannot wait until Zoom is like out of our lives.
you said I spent some time this week, and that's where we lost you.
Okay, so I spent some time this week looking at a site of folks that went to or taught at Tabor Academy in Cape Cod, and some really heart-wrenching stories of how, similar to what you just read, of the experiences of all kinds of people. And there was an article in the Boston Globe today about, multiple private schools experiencing it. You mentioned Littleton. Certainly there's been issues there. I work for Acton Boxborough. We are struggling with the same thing. Certainly head towards the cities, and it blows up even bigger. This is a global concern that is not new. We all know this has existed. You can talk the talk. It's time to walk the walk, and it is starting.
Oh, you're muted again.
Happen again. Sorry, it's starting with the voices of these kids, and to give them continuously give them a platform to lead all of us is going to really help the situation. I think certainly we've talked to Dr. Malone and other my colleagues. We are all trying to figure out ways to come together, and certainly curriculum is one way. We all believe in education, and you're right, it's been very white. I know in at my high school where I work, we're really looking at curriculum to try to make it less white. And I think all of these little steps that we can do come together and work together to figure out how to make this more tolerant and more accepting for everyone, and frankly for people to feel safe no matter where they are, whether they're in their school, in their community, in their homes. That's the goal for all of us. So I certainly appreciate you speaking about this, and I certainly appreciate all the kids that are putting together the march tomorrow. I'm picking up a new puppy tomorrow, so I might be there with a brand new puppy. But I do look forward to seeing everybody, and thank you again for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you, Cheryl. Any other members want to address Mrs. Warner's comments?
Members, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I have like kids in and out of the pool. I'm out of breath. So
No worries. Catch your breath.
thank you. I just didn't want to miss this piece. So I'm Sharice Murphy. I have 3 kids in the district. Denham, who was in 9th grade last year, and then a 2nd and a 3rd grader. So Laura, first of all, just to say, Laura and I have communicated, and she did kind of reach out to me first to try to talk about kind of how to even position this letter. Did it make sense? Like, have these things been talked about before? So when she brought the letter to me, I thought it was fantastic. Not only the letter, Laura, but the fact that you have other voices, because I think for the last couple years, at least for me, I have been feeling like it's been my child and my voice. And one voice is quiet. So when you have 150 people sign a piece of paper that I definitely have been talking about for the last 3.5 years and have gotten kind of nowhere, it's upsetting, but it's also comforting, because now what it does is take the experience that I had and my child had and validate it. And so after that validation piece is over, the action steps need to take place. So just a quick little history about me. Most of you all know maybe who I am. I've come to one of the school or a couple of school committee meetings. And coming to the first school committee meeting, I noticed some things. I noticed there was a lack of diversity on the school board itself. I already knew there was a lack of diversity within the school staff, of which I have been saying for a long time. And so when you have something that's so homogeneous, it's hard to get other voices and hard to even understand what's happening because you all don't see it, period. So after I got to a couple of school committee meetings, I reached out to some parents in our community and I said, much like Laura did, I said, hey, do you guys feel this way? Has this ever happened to you? And if so, what do you think we can do about it? So I reached out to Erica, who's on here somewhere on the Brady Bunch screen. Oh, there she is. And so I reached out to Erica and about 10 or 15 other parents. And Erica and I were the ones that could make it to the meetings. After coming to the meetings, we scheduled a meeting with both Mary Malone, Charles, Joyce, and Erica. And we decided that it made sense to do something like a diversity and equity subcommittee. During that time, I feel like I was a little confused about how school committee worked, but that I was ready to learn and move forward. So we tried to have these meetings. I post them all over my Facebook pages. I post them on the AIR, the Shirley page, anywhere I could to try to get members to join. I did not see a push like this from the school committee. I had, after all of the emails that I sent, never received anything on letterhead from Mary Malone or anybody else about my child or what was going on. It had been months for me to even get a conversation over the phone. As a parent in this district, a Black parent whose child, and I know you all saw the emails and I didn't know who was going to respond. No one from the school committee responded to my email when the word was bolded that it was nigger, not the N-word that she was called, a gorilla and a monkey and many other things. This is not an easy conversation to have. I'm sick of having it as a Black person, but I know that it's my duty to be able to bring this to you all. A question that I've been asking a lot of people right now is why now? Why was it George Floyd that all of a sudden everybody could now read an email and see the injustices? Why did Laura's message get 150 responses and a letter on a letterhead back? Why? This is complacency to me. Mary and I have had several conversations in the last week, and I am tired of using pretty language and trying to put this in a lovely box for you to unopen or unravel whenever you all want it to. So what you're seeing on the news, if you haven't talked to any Black person or a person of color right now, is frustration and anger and sadness. And my child, as happy and as a leader as she is, was not 100% feeling safe in the school because she has me as a mother that I could train her up to what to say when people call her those things and how not to look like an angry Black girl so that, like Laura pointed out, she would not be kicked out of class, of which twice she was when someone called her a nigger, pointing to a map of Niger in Africa. Those statements, I hope and pray that you all read every single last one of them on Laura's letter, because nobody wants to be in this position. I just want to say that. My 15-year-old daughter does not want to have hate messages from students still and adults in the Air Shirley community. She's putting herself out there, and so am I. And I'm relying on each and every one of you to keep my children and every other child in that school safe and well educated. So I'm just reiterating Laura's points to say it is more than important to read and to do something about her letter.
Thank you, Mrs. Murphy. I really appreciate your comments. I understand this is not easy for you, and it's not easy for me to hear. And I'm really, really saddened that this has happened to your daughter. And to think that that's happening to other students in our district, I, really guess I live in a world where I never knew that was happening. And I appreciate you guys coming forward and letting us know exactly what these experiences are. And I look forward to reading those comments and seeing, what's happened that we just have no idea about.
Just a correction, I appreciate that. I think there was some knowledge about them. So that's the issue. Right. So the issue is that there was some knowledge. There was definitely some knowledge, but for whatever reason, there's a fire that people can't avoid right now. So I appreciate those, but I want you to know, maybe you did not know, but there are people on this call that definitely knew.
Okay. I'm speaking for myself when I respond.
Madam Chair, if I might.
Sure.
We started the Diversity and Equity Subcommittee, so it would be a public meeting. And it was posted all the time. And just like Cherise said, she sent out emails and the response was very light, but we were still working on it. And sometimes it's hard to get the feet under it. It wasn't based on anything that we knew that had happened, but just something that should be done, because this is the way our district tries to reach up, and we're still going to try to do that. And we still want all the kids to be safe and well educated, and that is all with a capital A. It's sometimes it's very tricky because stuff comes in. Sometimes it's there and it's never surfaced, and then it surfaces, and many times you're very surprised. I was very surprised. I don't want to pick on a school district, but I saw a teacher from another school district and asked her how school was, and someone I've known for a long, long time. And what came out of her mouth surprised me hysterically, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to get it going in our district so that we could start working with the basis of not having prejudice. Work it out. I'm not sure. I think it's something you always have to continue working out. It's not going to disappear. We're not going to fix it today, but we have to be aware of it and we have to move forward with it. So thank you, Laura and Cherise, and I think someone else is here too, for coming tonight and talking to us more. It never hurts. Thank you.
Okay, any other members have any comments before we move on?
Michelle, if I can just add a potential resource, Mass Partnership for Youth did a really good webinar by Dr. Tracy Benson. And I know it's on my summer reading to read his book on unconscious bias in schools. And he does work with school districts to try and bridge the race issues and educate us in terms of, you know, what we really need to do and recognizing biases within ourselves that we're not aware of. So that's a potential resource.
Okay, and what did you say that was? I'm sorry.
Mass Partnership for Youth. They've done a number of, I mean, I don't know how many dozens of webinars they've done over the course of the spring, but one in particular was on race. And he's a professor down, I think it's in South Carolina, and he does work with school districts to try and resolve these exact issues.
Okay, thank you.
I can put it in an email to you if you want.
Yeah, that would be great, actually.
Okay. Michelle, I wanted to mention Erica too, and I slipped up. Thanks, Erica.
Okay, I think someone had a hand raised. I can't see that because I'm not the host of the meeting, so I apologize if I haven't recognized you. But if there is a parent that has a comment, please go ahead. I can't see you.
Sorry, it's Erica. So I know personally that I stated my piece on Facebook, and one of the things that I think I want to emphasize here for those that didn't read it is you have resources in the parents here in the Air Shirley school system. So as much as you all are talking about educating yourselves, I know particularly there's a fount of knowledge coming from the superintendent, because I can guarantee you I've talked to 30 parents who have all spoken to her directly. And these are about things that went on with their children at this school during the time. So
sorry.
Before we talk about, that's all right. Before we talk about resources and knowledge, there have been parents that have spoken out about their concerns for them, their safety, and their children's safety in real time, and nothing has been done. Nothing. We have been told stories and, oh, I went to this place and I educated myself. But I want you to understand, as a Black parent, when I hear that, what I'm hearing from you is I don't care. I don't care about your issues, your pain, or your child's pain. I'm going to glaze over it with the most politically correct statement I can and move on. And that same statement was made and issued once again on June 2nd and June 11th. Now, I know, Mary, you didn't get the chance to talk with me. We had phone tag. I realize that, and I am going to say that. But at the same time, I sent out a post the other day. I have yet to hear from you. I am very frustrated with this school district. I grew up in this school district from age 5. I just turned 33 on the 20th. My child is in this school district and nothing is new. My mother was at the school committee meetings, standing on my behalf. So whereas I like that we're talking about a collaborative, I am trying to point out to you all that you do have people you can speak to. You have people that you can work with, that you can educate yourself in real time with real things that have happened in this district. Everything that was mentioned by each member, and I'm not trying to be nitpicky, I'm just giving you examples so that you can see and hear what I'm seeing and hearing as a Black parent. You talked about the children and educating yourself through their eyes. Absolutely, we need that because we need to hear our youth. But at the same time, a parent is going to be able to speak to you in a way that you're going to understand as well. The experiences that I experienced myself, and I only gave one out of many. You heard from a student that was at this district, and somehow you're not bridging the gap with the parents as well. And I think that's where the frustration lies. The reason why it was a small group is because we were told, we'll believe it when we see it. We don't believe that the school committee remotely even cares about anything we have to say. They do not trust you. They don't trust you with their children. This is why. I'm giving these examples not to nitpick at you all personally. I'm just telling you the simple truth. And I'm being very basic about it so that it doesn't get misconstrued. I'm willing to work with you. Sharice was willing to work with you. And I feel like if we're going to bridge the gap, there needs to be true honesty. If you don't agree with us, that's fine. Say so. Say so. Don't be politically correct. This is not the time to do that, because to be politically correct and to try and make it pretty can create an area where you have a false foundation. We want a real foundation. We want to work with you, but we can't work with you when we hear one thing and we see another. So in order to bridge that gap, I really feel like we need to have those honest conversations, and we want to hear from you as individuals. We realize that as a committee and as a group, you want to all respect each other and respect your rules. We get that. But at the same time, we really need to hear from you in order to trust all of you to build that bridge. We can be on opposite sides. That's how you build a bridge. One side to the other. And that's okay. But the frustration right now is that we're hearing certain things, and then we're seeing different things, and then certain things are being addressed. Let's come together, let's organize, and actually talk about it. Even if we're not on the same side, it's okay. We're not asking you to be perfect. We're just going to have to get into the nitty-gritty first, where we might rub raw, but it's okay. At some point, you're going to heal. And that's all I have to say. So thank you for my time.
Thank you, Erica. I appreciate your comments. I do think there's a lot of work here to do, and I look forward to working with parents to do it. I was my understanding that the diversity and equity subcommittee was just that, was a subcommittee that was going to work and have those discussions. And then COVID happened, and I don't know what happened with that subcommittee. So I apologize.
Did not meet.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
or
I'm
even
just,
virtually, yeah.
okay. But unfortunately, that was a huge factor or I don't know with this particular subcommittee. I'm just saying with school in general and things kind of, falling off the radar in some ways. And it's certainly something we need to bring back and work with parents on. And I think seeing this letter with these comments from, the people that have signed on, it's really going to give us, some information to work with about what's the specifics are about how people are feeling and what's been going on. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Michelle, can I ask a logistics question? I find Zoom meetings really difficult, and I know we're starting to move towards having real meetings.
Sorry, my pup's phone.
If the diversity and equity subcommittee schedules something for August, is there limitation on the number that can attend based on what the governor has set for sort of parameters around that?
I was told we were not going to meet until maybe fall.
Yeah, I guess I'm asking Dr. Malone or somebody whether, because we just got some recent guidance on how many can be in a space and that sort of thing. So, because I think certainly we want this subcommittee up and running as soon as possible. And I'm just asking if Dr. Malone or somebody else knows, if we scheduled something in August, are there limitations on how many people can be in a room right now? Or does it
limitations are going to be that you're going to have the 6 foot, you're going to have things. We also need to have the schools open so that they're cleaned and set up, which may not be until, I'm not sure when that's going to be. So aiming for 1st of September or August. The only place I was thinking we could come up with, if we did the cafeteria at the middle school, there's plenty of space there where we could space out. The library and the other places we've met are all way too close. So I've started working on that, but the school has to be open first. If the school is still closed, then, and it is a public meeting, posted public meeting, it must be held in a public place.
Can I just say that I sat on the board of trustees at Parker for a long time, and I know like Zoom is going to be a reality for a long time, on and off for the next year. So I do think that you need to be prepared to hold these meetings remotely, even if we don't like it. Nobody likes this. But the reality is that I work at a school where we have hundreds of people on meetings every day, all day, and we're adapting. And so there's no reason that this committee can't meet virtually. There's no reason we have to wait till school buildings are open. They will probably close at some point in time again next year. And that doesn't mean that the work has to stop. I guess I would also just ask as a question, and it can be answered later in subcommittee reports, but I'm curious about the structure of the subcommittee, whether, Joyce, I think that the regulations for school committees are the same as board of trustees at a charter school, which is that a member of the board has to, but generally speaking, there's also a co-chair, and I think in this case, it is so important that the co-chair has to be somebody who has a different experience than you do as a white woman, and that I do. And
I'm sorry you didn't come to the committee meetings because they were posted, and we hadn't even gotten to that point yet. But we have to follow all the open meeting laws, and when you're at a private school, you don't have any regulations like that at all.
We have open meeting law just like A.R. Shirley. Parker is a public school.
Oh, at Parker. Yeah, I was thinking of Phillips.
So I'm very familiar with governance laws for school committees. I sat on the governance committee at Parker for 5 years. And so I do recognize that. I am sorry I didn't come to the 3 meetings I think that were held. I have 3 kids. And to be very honest, evenings are very hard. I actually prefer Zoom in many ways for access. So my question really moving forward is I urge the school committee to think about having a co-chair for this committee that is a person of color, a parent from the district, and to acknowledge that it is a lot of work and people might be tired and not want to, and to look for somebody who is willing, whether it's Sharice or Erica or any other parent in the district that's already come forward, and to not expect it. We all have jobs, but it's important that this work moves forward and it can move forward virtually.
That's kind of what I was alluding to, Laura, that I think that if meetings like this, like school committee, are held virtually, which was my point about a month ago, was that something like this could be done virtually. And I definitely said, I think with the kids not being in school, I am so overly grateful that they were not in school when this all happened, because I'm sure that there were no skills to handle that. And that was part of the reason why when I came to everyone and I said we needed this. Now, maybe Joyce, you at the same time as I did, but definitely it was a feeling of mine that I had to do something in the community, and I thought this was a nice way. So I think if we can meet like this virtually, then I don't know why this other subcommittee can't meet. And that's what I said about a month ago.
Well, if we can work with Mr. Tebow to set it up, then, we have to bring other people into it, to organize it. So we can work on that.
Madam Chair, may I speak?
Yes, please. Yep, go ahead.
So to the parents, thank you for coming to the meeting tonight. I have spoken with many of you. Ms. Span, you mentioned that we played phone tag. We couldn't meet. I don't recall getting a message, so I apologize if you sent me an email or something. But I know that my administrative assistant was trying to set something up with you on Tuesday, but I know you worked during the day, so my apologies if that didn't happen. Mrs. Simmons, you were asking me about can we have face-to-face meetings and what are the guidelines right now? And right now the guidelines are no more than 10 people in 6-foot social distancing. Actually, it's physical distancing, 6 feet of physical distancing and wearing masks. So does that preempt?
Yeah, and I agree.
Does that preempt having a face-to-face meeting? Am I willing to do a meeting? No. If these 3 parents would like to meet with me and we follow those guidelines, those health protocols, that's fine. To Joyce's comment about holding a Zoom meeting, we can make that arrangement in the district if the parents and all of you, and including myself, would like to hold a Zoom meeting, before the start of school.
I think that would be helpful. And, the reason why I mentioned, face-to-face, I think we're all looking forward to face-to-face. But if it can't happen that way, then I think it's more important to actually get the subcommittee moving, on a regular basis. If this is what our new normal is going to be, then I guess we have to kind of deal with that. With not knowing if we're in school or limiting numbers and all of that. So let me know and I'll be there.
And to the 3 parents here tonight, if you want to just meet with me outside of a subcommittee meeting, we can meet. If you would like to meet one-on-one, or you want to hold a Zoom meeting with me one-on-one, I'm available, and we can schedule that meeting.
Okay, thank you. If there's no other comments at this time, we will discuss this again when we get to item 12A, and maybe we can figure out how we're going to proceed, to schedule something in the next, whenever. We'll soon, but we can get to the specifics of that when we get to item 12A. So if there's nothing else, I'll give you guys a minute, then we're going to move on to the consent agenda. And again, I apologize, I can't see anyone. So if there is someone with a comment, then just go ahead. All right, so we're going to move on to item 10, which is our consent agenda tonight. Tonight it includes the approval of the June 2nd and June 10th, 2020 regular session minutes for release. It also includes the approval of the June 2nd and June 10th, 2020 executive session minutes not for release. And it includes the warrant agenda, which, if you give me 1 second, I can tell you what that includes. Tonight's warrant agenda is dated June 17th, 2020, and it includes accounts payable warrant 1160, dated May 29th, 2020, for $897,316.43, which is the biweekly AP warrant. AP warrant 1165, dated June 12th, 2020, for $2,501.39, which is the February, March, April family ID and food service. AP warrant 1166, dated June 12th, 2020, for $295,058.17, which is a biweekly AP warrant. And AP warrant 1167, dated June 12th, 2020, for $124.01, which is the November 2019 meals tax. It also includes payroll warrant 25, dated June 5th, 2020, for $664,587.47, which is the fiscal year 20 biweekly payroll. We'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda with warrant number 1160, 1165, 1166, 1167, and payroll warrant number 25.
Okay.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, we're going to do a roll call vote for a Zoom meeting. So Michelle, will you call the roll?
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Hi.
All right, so that's approved. And now we'll move on to the reorganization of the school committee, which is item A under number 9, new business, for the 2020-2021 school year. So I'm going to now turn the meeting over to Dr. Malone.
You're on mute, Dr. Malone.
Sorry, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I will now accept nominations for the position of Chair of the Asheville Regional School 2020-2021 school year.
I'll make a nomination of Joyce Reshoots for chair of the Air Shirley School Committee for the following school year.
Any other nominations?
I'm sorry, I'm not used to doing this. I'll second.
Any discussion?
Couldn't hear you, Jonathan.
I nominated you, Madam Joyce,
Oh.
for chair.
Thank you.
And Michelle, second. Any other nominations or discussion? Michelle, will you call the roll call vote, please?
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Thank you very much, and I will attempt to do my best. And everybody has my phone numbers. They know where I live every day. I'm always free. I'm always open to anything. I just might have to tell you I'll call you back. But other than that, please keep in contact. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair Joyce, may I just publicly thank former Chair Michelle Granger.
Yes, please do.
For her collaborative work over this past year. She has been a good partner and a good communicator and collaborator, and certainly is dedicated and committed to this district, and certainly does her best to work in the best interests of all in the district. So I want to thank her and for her work with me and the regional school district.
Michelle's done a fantastic job, way above and beyond. And thanks, Michelle. Really, you've been super. I would call for nominations for vice chair.
Cheryl, was that you raising your hand for vice chair?
You're volunteering, Cheryl?
No, I was trying to stop my dog from doing something. He was getting in the trash. Sorry.
I second Cheryl's dog's nomination.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm turning red. Sorry about that.
Are there any other nominations besides Cheryl and her dog? Hearing none, I would ask for a roll call vote. I'm out of sync here. Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
Aye.
Mr. Joe. I must say your name wrong, so I thought I'd just shorten it.
Leone.
And who'd I miss? I'm sorry.
Yourself.
Myself, Joyce Reshoots. Aye. Thank you. Now nominations for secretary for the committee for the coming year. We can always draft someone if no one gets nominated.
I'll nominate Jonathan for secretary. Jonathan DeForge. Oh, did you hear me? Am I on mute?
Yep.
No.
No, you're good. Second that.
That's nomination. The second for Jonathan DeForge. Are there any others? Hearing none, I call for a roll call vote. Jonathan DeForge,
Aye.
Cheryl Simmons,
Aye.
Michelle Granger,
Aye.
Jim Quinty,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and Joyce Reshoots, aye. Thank you very much. So that's our board for the next year. Moving on with the agenda. Thank everybody, and it's going to be fun. Presentation on school recycling. Lori Sable.
Joyce, I'm sorry, can I just interrupt you 1 second before we
Sure.
move on?
Please do.
Just because of some of the comments we were making earlier with regard to communication from the committee, I just think it's kind of important that we reiterate and agree, is that if it's our practice that when we get emails as a board, that the chair is going to respond, I just want to know that that's what we're doing, because as a member getting emails, I want to know if I should be responding, or it's usually been our practice that the chair is going to respond. And I should have said that in my response to Mrs. Warner, but I just want to reiterate that that's what we're going to be doing moving forward, and if that is in fact what we're doing.
How's everybody feel about that?
I think that's exactly what we need to do.
I think that's exactly right. I responded on probably every one of those letters that we got to the appropriate person and not to the individuals who sent them, thinking that one email from the board or from the superintendent is sufficient. So I agree with that.
Well, and just to add there too, it's not that it's just sufficient, but we have to be very careful with open meeting law, right? If we start all responding, that can become considered deliberation, and so
That's true.
it is a very good practice to just present as a board one response. So I would be in favor of that.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to kind of reiterate that. And I, again, want to apologize and hope that in the future, myself, if I ever am chair again, I will always say it's on behalf of our committee. And I hope, Joyce, if this year when you're responding, if you could say the same, that would be
That would be
helpful.
great. And I'm going to give Michelle Town the email that should be used for anything like that, because I have one email that I use the most, and I'm going to keep that registered at the office. So if anybody has to send something, it should be to that one email. Thank you. I'll make sure Michelle has it. Is that okay? Does that work? Okay.
Yeah, but can we all have it, Joyce? Share it with them.
I'll send it to all of you.
Thank you.
To all of you. I think that's why I didn't get the other stuff. Okay. Anything else on that? Does anybody else have any thoughts? It's so hard doing it remotely because you can't see everybody's body language, and so speak up. Okay. We're into new business, item 9B, presentation of school recycling. Mrs. Laurie Sebel.
Madam Chair, if I may, before Laurie speaks, so Laurie Sable runs the air recycling, and she had contacted me recently about the partnership with air and the recycling that we have in the schools. And so we had a conversation, and she wanted to come to the school committee and present a new agreement. I believe Laurie will give you more information about the agreement and then the efforts in the partnership with the schools and the air recycling department. So Laurie, welcome.
Thank you. I know that you can't see me. The camera on my computer is broken, but you'll just have to take it at face value that I do exist. I've lived in air since 1999, and I've been the chair of the Air Recycling Committee for about 15 years. I don't have any kids in the schools, and because of that, I'm a little far removed from day-to-day things that go on there. I spent my professional career as a librarian, most recently at Tufts, and retired 6 years ago. So I've had all kinds of time to put into recycling efforts and other kinds of volunteer work that I do. Michelle, I just noticed that the generic template is on screen rather than the revised version that I sent you. A little bit of a backstory on what I want to talk about today. And I know I have about 10 minutes, and I have my clock counting down right in front of me, so I will respect that time. In 2013, the Air Shirley School District received a $12,000 Mass DEP grant to establish a comprehensive district-wide recycling program, and that grant ran from 2013 to 2016. The money was spent on a person's time, and part of the money was spent on equipment. To put into context what I'm talking about today, my present goal is to update, pass, and implement the Air Shirley Air Shirley Regional School District recycling policy. And I don't know if you all got a copy of this policy that I revised from the original one, which was about 10 years old. It states that all of the schools will recycle paper, cardboard, bottles, and cans. a quote that I read recently from a school that passed a recycling policy points out that the list of benefits from recycling and better managing waste is long and measurable, but the greatest benefit of all is probably the future impact of students who learn to use natural resources wisely and efficiently. If you're wondering why I'm coming to you right now, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
If you're wondering why I'm coming to you right now, the primary reason is that the Mass Department of Environmental Protection has several different kinds of grant programs. One of them is one that the Air Recycling Committee and the town of Air has benefited from for the past 6 or so years. Thank you. And that grant has given us about $25,000 over those years to use to fund projects and educational campaigns for the residents of the town of Air. I realize there's a whole other town that is part of the Air Shirley Regional School District. As of the next go-round of grants, which will be due in June of 2021, all municipal buildings, including schools, must certify that they recycle paper, cardboard, plastic, metal, and glass containers in order for towns to apply for the grants. So it seemed to me like this was a good time to both talk to you about that and look at the recycling policy in order to update it, make you all aware of it, and implement it. So that's why I'm here. I have numerous steps which are ideas for how to actually implement the policy. But before any of that takes place, obviously I understand that you have to look at it, think about it, and hopefully agree to implement it. So I've taken 5 of my 10 minutes, which was about what I thought, which I guess allows us for another 5 minutes worth of discussion or questions that you might have for me.
Does anybody have questions or comments for Laurie?
Could you briefly speak on how your job has changed and how the town's job has changed with recycling with the drop in the value of the materials that we're recycling?
Well, my job hasn't changed. I'm a volunteer, so I'm doing the same thing that I've been doing for the past 15 years, which is trying to encourage people to recycle correctly. Just recently, I heard that some prices on recycled items, including office paper and cardboard, are coming back. So I realize that's not the most complete answer to your question, but that's about what I can provide to you. For more specifics on costs, you would have to go to the actual people that work for the town.
That's okay. Taking care of that.
The night of the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it more fun. Laurie, I know at one time we had bins before Shirley went to their dumpster thing, we had recycling bins in every room, the heavy duty plastic bins. I had assumed that they were still there, that they were still being used properly. But we could investigate that and get back to you.
Well, that's one of the first steps. There's a lot of fact-finding, I think, that needs to be done to make this thing happen. One is what equipment we received with the original grant, and then what current equipment is actually available and where it is in the buildings. When I talked to Superintendent Malone last week about this, she brought up a really obvious and very important point, which is that the bins are only as good as what gets put into them. And if people put their chocolate milk container into a paper bin, that pretty much contaminates that bin and makes it unusable as far to recycle. Thus, it obviates the importance of doing this kind of stuff. So we do need to know what bins are available. They need to be marked clearly, and there needs to be an ongoing effort. And what I'm suggesting in the policy is a staff member at each one of the schools who would get a small stipend paid from the town of Air to make sure that the bins continue to be where they're supposed to be and are clearly labeled. Sorry, that was a really long answer to your question or to your comment.
Does anybody else have a question?
No, I just want to thank Lori for all of your time and effort that you volunteer to recycling. It's a huge undergoing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Is there anything in any of the curriculums that discusses recycling? And if there's going to be a faculty member that's responsible with a stipend, is it possible to have a recycling club of kids who are interested in recycling as well, that can do the collection of the bins for all of this stuff, so that we get more kids involved and get more education with respect to recycling?
I can't speak to what curriculum is actually happening in the schools, but I can tell you that curriculum lessons are available at no charge through one of the various Mass DEP initiatives, which is called the Green Team. So the information is out there and available. What the school chooses to do as far as implementing the curriculum is obviously up to you. As far as having kids do the work, I don't think that, to respectfully disagree, at least my belief is that there are custodians that actually take care of the bins and make sure that the indoor bins get to the recycling dumpsters that are outside of the buildings. So I think there's a huge opportunity for kids to be involved, and I love the idea of having some kind of recycling club or green club or sustainability club, whatever it could be called. But I think their importance is to do some of the education. I think kids can talk to kids better than adults. Well, at least me as an adult, I have no clue how to talk to kids. And I think there's a lot of planning that needs to go into this that certainly high school kids could be involved in as well. So if you haven't had a chance to look at the policy yet, you're probably not ready to to sign off on it. You might want to edit it. I don't know how you, as a board, as a committee, work on things like this that are brought to you. So if you do need time to look at it, I'm happy to give you all the time that you need. I was thinking that I could come back to your August meeting and discuss more of my step-by-step ideas for a program. But I think the first thing that needs to happen, or one of the first things that needs to happen, is a walkthrough of the schools And right now, because I'm a member of the air recycling committee, I am, and I know this is very awkward, but I am sort of trying to limit the work that I do to the 2 schools in air. I don't think that's a great solution, but it's what I feel like I can realistically and sensibly work on.
Lori, who would be your counterpart in Shirley? Is there a counterpart in Shirley that?
There's no recycling committee in Shirley, but I believe there are Board of Health employees who you might be able to be in touch with.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair, if I may say, a few years ago, I think when I first began my tenure in the district, there was a recycling liaison that served all 4 schools. And
Yeah.
managed it. Yeah. And then I believe, I think it was a stipend position, and it went away. So I don't know, maybe that's something,
I know we made a big effort with containers in each room, and they were marked, and they were the proper recycling containers, and that was a number of years ago. And then you don't follow up on it because you just figure it's happening, but then it erodes because it just erodes.
It does. Yeah, that's a good point. It does erode. Superintendent Malone, the staff member or the coordinator who you were talking about was funded by the grant, and that ran from 2013 to 2016. So after that time, we certainly hoped that the program would continue to sustain itself, but I honestly have no idea. So if we have to start over from scratch, so be it.
Okay, so we'll look into this. As far as putting a policy out, we need to have a first and second reading on it. It needs to be numbered and incorporated into the policy book. So Mr. Quinty has been working on that. So he might be the one who would check to see if we have anything in place at this point, Jim.
So what would you like me to do? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I talk over somebody?
Well, you didn't because he was muted.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think probably what I'll do, I'll put this into the queue with the policy review, and I'll probably try to find you somewhere and walk through to see what even exists and what our SOP has been in each of the 4 schools. So when I come to take a look at the policy, I'll have a much better idea of what I'm looking at. Because right now, I was not aware that we were doing I thought everything was now single stream. I guess it's not all single stream, but I'm going to have to come up with to increase my knowledge on exactly how these things are handled so we can put together a policy that I think can benefit everybody in the long term. So let me review what you have here for policy, and then maybe you and I can do a walk through one of the schools with somebody that Dr. Malone will tag. I think Charlie would be a great asset to do that with. and we'll go see what we can find out and find a way forward. But I will add this to the queue for policy review.
Okay.
And Lori, does this happen? I don't know who the trash collectors are in each town. Doesn't it come down to them and what they're willing to pick up, and et cetera, et cetera?
Well, I don't know who picks up the trash for the schools either. That's one of the fact-finding things that I would like to know more about, and how much it costs. Any trash hauler worth their salt will pick up these kinds of items for recycling, and I'm sure you have one of those kinds of haulers.
Well, I'm sure we do too. I know we do in Shirley. And it's just been implemented with some big bins that are all, you have to keep it all separate. But Jim is right. The last couple of years, the price for cardboard and paper has gone to 0 or less. And so prices for picking up some of this stuff have increased. And if that comes back, it would be really excellent. But we'll have to see what the world wants to do.
Right, storage capacity has also impacted it, and a number of recycling component trucks have dumped into general trash because it was just more expedient to do that. So there are bigger things that have to happen downstream, but we're going to pretty much have to concern ourselves with what we can what's in our sphere of influence here. But we'll take a look at what's out there now to survey the horizon, and we'll come up with something appropriate.
Okay. Just to respond to one thing you said, most recycling in air, at least, residents who attend the transfer station, it's all single stream. So I don't think single stream or dual stream is particularly a factor in what we're talking about.
Okay.
Well, we look forward to working with you, and we'll continue on this, and it's important. Okay, so thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
And look forward to working with you.
Me too, you. Take care. Bye-bye.
There you go.
Thank you.
We're back to the agenda. There we go. So item 9C is presentation of the Mass Model 3.0, a framework for comprehensive school counseling. And we have our school counselor here tonight,
Right.
Ms. Eslonis.
Yes.
Yes, I was muted, so I had to remember how to unmute. And I'm sure you will meet my dogs, too.
Cynthia, just
Yes.
give me a minute. I just want to talk a little bit about your work. And I think, Mike, we have to go to the beginning of the PowerPoint. I don't think that's the beginning. Actually, I think that something came out of order, the title page, now that I think of it, if I recall. But so Cynthia also is the curriculum leader for the school counseling department in the district K through 12. And over the last year, all of the school counselors have been training on delivery of a curriculum into the schools on social, emotional, academic, and career readiness, K through 12. And so they started some really great work this year. They also will be addressing some of our social issues and other things. And I think it's a really powerful way to reach all students. Typically in schools, if you don't have, I've called it as a developmental guidance program, with school counselors going in to all the classrooms and meeting all of the students and being visible. A lot of times students will build trust, and if they need to speak to a counselor or they're having a problem, they feel comfortable to then seek that counselor. So it's a really powerful program because it reaches all students, and it also builds a relationship with those students who may need some one-on-one and some assistance from the school counselors. So Cynthia has been a lead on helping to write the curriculum. I think I informed the committee about this at an earlier meeting, and I received a letter on June 8th from the Massachusetts School Counselors Association acknowledging her active participation as a member of the writing team for the Massachusetts Model 3.0 for comprehensive school counseling programs during this past school year. And so she's earned PDP, and so she's very knowledgeable, and tonight she's going to present to you this work and what it's going to look like in our schools. So Cynthia, thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Malone. And I've got to thank Charlie and you for, allowing a consultant to come in and work with us to help this work move forward as quickly and efficiently as it did. And I did change the presentation a little bit, and I put this slide first because a lot of people don't know the difference between the guidance counselor and the school counselor. So this is kind of really a succinct way of looking at the two different roles. So you go back to the guidance counselor of the mid-20th century, who was a person that was really in isolation in their office, being very responsive as opposed to being proactive and being out in the classrooms and reaching all students in a multi-tiered system of service delivery and really getting out there and getting to know the kids. So that's why I put this slide first. There's a link to the ASCA, which is the American School Counselors Association rules statement, position statement. So if you're interested, you can look at that. So if we go to the next slide, that's the slide that Dr. Malone was looking for.
Thank you for clarifying, because when I looked at it again, I thought this was opposite, but I wasn't sure, and I didn't really have time to go back. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yep. No, I just thought that was a good way to put the definitions in there. So I'm assuming, Mike, you're on the controls. If we go to the next slide. So the Mass model, it's the third rendition. The first model was written back in 2006 in response to the American School Counselors Association's first model of One Vision, One Voice, which is the national model for delivery of school counseling curriculum. And what it provides is a guide so that we can formalize our current program delivery, meet collaboratively with building level administrators to plan and continue expanding program delivery. We can expand the vertical pre-K through 12 curriculum alignment and delivery of Tier 1 program components, and add curriculum assessments to inform DESE's continuous cycle of learning, which is, if you're not familiar with it, it's on page 27. But also, if you just Googled that, you would find the cycle that, you teach something, you assess it. Did the students understand it? Do you need to reteach it? Do you need to teach it differently? Do all the kids get it beautifully so you can, just move on? It's that type of informed cycle of learning. Mike? So and this is a link to the actual model. It's a 75-page document, but there are lots of appendices of tools that counselors can use, administrators can use, as well as some of the curriculum links. So it's a best practice guideline that encourages us to implement a proactive and programmatic approach to what we do, instead of, there's this particular problem right now, so we'll go attack that. Let's do some research. Let's figure out what the problems are. Let's prioritize what those problems are and address them. And not just problems, but whatever the needs are. It doesn't have to be a problem. It has to be a need. And it covers personal, social, academic, and college, as well as the career and workplace readiness in a multi-tiered system. And this isn't just high school for the college and career readiness or the workforce readiness. Kids in pre-K, kindergarten, the elementary schools, they're exposed to careers all the time, what their parents do, what they see when they go to the grocery store. So tying that to the world of work to school, and throwing in the academic, the personal social, to give the coping skills to deal with the challenges of navigating this very complicated world right now. This model is supported by the School Counselor Association as well as the Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed. Go ahead, Mike. Thank you. So there are 4 parts. Define is exactly that. What is it? So it summarizes our national and state documents. The assess is the piece where we go in and evaluate using available data, different assessment tools that we might put in, so that we can actually show that these issues, problems, needs are out there. It's been demonstrated by whatever methods that we've used to collect the data. And then after our interventions, then we can reassess using that cycle to see if we've actually met our goals. The manage piece structures how we're going to do this. So that's the conversations with administration. That's, how are we getting into classrooms? What are all the nuts and bolts of how all of this is going to happen? And then, of course, we deliver it by following that management agreement and how we've worked it out with our building level administrators. And so then the delivery of it, of course, is that whole component. And then you go through that cycle again. Thank you, Mike. So the alignments are with the American School Counselor Association, which has mindsets, and behaviors. There's a list of, I believe it's 27 different pieces that we can connect curriculum to. CASEL is, a huge social emotional warehouse of competencies and resources that we can use to address all of those. And then the Mass Career Development Education benchmarks through DESE, the career advising, and the MyCap, which is in the process of being expanded to include the middle school grades. And all of these are in the appendices of the document. So at the high school, while I was there, we did come up with a mission statement. And this year as a group, we revised that. It's aligned with our district mission statement. And it really is, again, to get to all students so that they all reach their full potential in all 3 domains, instilling the values of high expectations, lifelong learning, appreciation for diversity, and the responsible citizenship. And we are there for everybody. It's not a select few group of kids. We are available for and essential for all students. So what did we do this year? We did quite a lot. So we understand the components and can write a complete standards-based unit and lesson plan. Now that might not seem like a lot, but most school counselors have not had training in strict education as, you know, a math teacher or a history teacher might. So for some who haven't had that actual training in curriculum development, lesson plan writing, measurement of success through assessments within those lessons, that was kind of a challenging task for some. Along with that, we recognize, all of us now recognize the vertical alignment and the importance of that. We've delivered the lessons in the units. We've added them to Rubicon Atlas, which is the warehousing for all of the district's curriculum. Data this year was a little skewed because of COVID. We couldn't really collect for the last 12 weeks as we might like to. But from what we were able to sample, for our Tier 1 interventions, there was a 300% increase this year in the high school, 100% increase in the middle school. At the elementary, it was a significant increase. We couldn't narrow it down specifically because of the issues with data collection. But through a sampling of time studies, doing a week in March last year and a week in March in 2020, we showed a 314% increase in classroom and Tier 1 activities, which is huge. Huge. Yes. The counselors also learned about different data sources. So, you know, you hear about EWIS or this, and then the other ones that are more, I guess, maybe not thought of as really good data points. But when we look at failure rates, when we look at passing rates, when we look at attendance rates, and a lot of data specifically within the schools and our student information systems, there is so much data there that we can use to demonstrate student needs as well as their achievements and successes. Given that our curriculum is tied to standards and we can tie it to other domains, so I mean, I could do a lesson in an English class, tie the English standards into the counseling standards. It is time on learning. So a lot of people don't realize that it is time on learning, but where it's standards based, it absolutely is. And we also use DESE's continuous cycle of learning and the MTSS. So, you know, when we do the Tier 1, we can identify students that need more intense intervention on whatever the situation may be. If it's college planning, if it's you know, social skills, whatever it is, we can identify that through this process of cycle of learning and assessing our successes and needs. Is that it, or is there one more? That's it.
That is it, Cynthia.
That's it. It's a lot of information, so I didn't want to add too much more.
Anybody have questions or comments for Ms. Eslonis? It sounds huge.
It is.
Certainly shows.
I will add that MASCA, the Mass School Counselors Association, did do a series of 5 webinars on the new model.
Yeah,
And because of our relationship with Helen O'Donnell's and MASCA, the Air Shirley Regional District counselors and psychologists were able to access that for free.
Right.
Which was nice.
So is there a plan for getting counselors into classrooms or having some sort of classroom on their own for social emotional things at the middle school and elementary schools and high school? Are there plans in the works for that?
Yes. So we did do, that's what those percentage increases were, the percentage increase over last year to this year of our time in the classroom setting. So this past year in the middle school, I was working with the health teachers and the librarian to work with students in those settings. In the high school, they were working primarily in advisory and Panther Block. And in the elementary schools, they are actually going into the teachers' classrooms, co-teaching with the teachers on the different lessons that they are teaching. So the idea going forward is to expand those further.
So in the middle school, where they're on teams, is there a guidance counselor assigned to each team?
No. So we're going to try and move to calling us school counselors. And I am hoping to meet with the other counselor who's actually an adjustment counselor and the administration over the summer to look at how we divide up the caseload, because there are only two of us, two counselors in the building, and one's a school counselor and one's an adjustment counselor. So the training and job responsibilities there are different.
Okay.
They overlap, and we collaborate all the time, but they are different.
Would you say that there is a need for more school counselors?
Well, if Dr. Malone had a magic wand and money wasn't an issue, I would suggest that every building needs 2 school counselors and an adjustment counselor, and probably another school psychologist.
So we do have, remember in the FY20 budget, we have a second counselor. But of course now with COVID-19 and what it's done to state budget and such, we were going to hold, now we still have our budget to be approved in Shirley, which is next Monday, June 29th. So we certainly recognize that need. And now we have that CARES grant, and we might be able to look at increasing the counseling load, because we're not really sure. First of all, we're not sure what the model is going to be. We're expected to get some guidance this week, early next week. And so we really want to be able to work with students that have, it will not be an easy transition if we go back to school and other needs of students. But I will say to that, Cynthia, excellent, great job, and thank you. And this is something we've been working towards in the district for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
And the model that Cynthia was talking about, going in the classroom, and back to the parents who spoke at the beginning in public participation about, the need for us to have a systemic curriculum, if you will, on racism, anti-racism, justice, and all of those things. This is something the counselors will be able to do as well when they go into classrooms. But one of the key components that's very important is when a counselor can go into an English class or a social studies class or a science class, and really the strongest model is the teacher is present for the lesson that the counselor delivers, and then the teacher can extend that lesson or those skills being taught embedded in their classroom. And that's really the most powerful model. Do you agree, Cynthia, as far as...
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. I was talking with the 8th grade English teacher about, introducing, a young adult novel to work with her. So we would be collaborating and co-teaching a novel that dealt with the race issues that we've got going on.
Right.
It's very important.
Yeah, and it's a very strong and powerful model, and it's sustainable. And so this coming year will be year 2, and it'll, as Cynthia pointed out, they were training this year and they were implementing. So.
Right. And so the goal, of course, is to expand all of these components using the data so that, I can come to you and say that I did this unit. Before we did the unit, the children believed this, that, or the other thing, or had this knowledge base, and after the unit, this is where the growth was.
Just wanted to jump in. Cynthia, thank you. This is awesome. And I love the idea of you guys getting in the classrooms and working with the kids. I'm sure that's something you guys really enjoy too.
Yes.
But I love the increase, and I hope it continues. So thank you for all this work.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's, I find it fun.
I bet.
It might make me strange, but I find it fun. So if any of you have questions after you look through it, if any of you want a good read out by the pool, pick up the model, sit there, read it. Please feel free to reach out with any questions that you come up with over time.
And the other thing I'd like to close with, Cynthia, and I was a school counselor at one point in my career, and so I didn't have the sophisticated model we have now, but I went into the classrooms, and what was so powerful about it was, as I said in the beginning, that the counselor is interacting with all students, but those students, you know, I had students that would come to me after that, trusted me, that was in a domestic violence situation at home or had other issues and was afraid to speak, but by going into the classroom, they got to know the counselor and then felt comfortable requesting to have a one-on-one meeting with the counselor. So it's really a powerful model.
It is. It is.
Maybe scarier to go to the counselor than it is to go to the principal, you know. So.
Well, Joyce, that's a good point. There are, you know, when it's not the culture that the school counselor is somebody that's there as just a helpful resource, then it becomes stigmatized to go to the school counselor. Like you have a problem. Like, you know, the whole mental health stigma that goes along with things. If you're going to the office and you're going to the counselor, there's some huge problem. It doesn't have to be a huge problem.
Right.
And by us being out in the classrooms, visible and seen, and the kids get to know us, it takes away that stigma, and it just works better.
And it's another set of eyes. So counselors even going to lunch, into the lunchroom and stuff to observe interactions with students that are going on, and whether it be bullying or racist comments or things like that. It's another set of eyes in getting to know the kids and getting to know the dynamics of who's isolated, who doesn't have a friend. It's very powerful. So I'm very pleased and really excited for the kids that this will be stronger even next year. So thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. I'm sorry we had COVID to mess everything up, but we'll work
I
out.
know.
It'll all work out.
It will. It will. We're resilient. We can do it.
We can do it.
Yes.
Anybody else? Anything that you'd like to ask Cynthia while we have her here? You know, she's going to be so busy, we won't get her back very often.
No, I'll come back. All you got to do is ask.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
You're
We look
welcome.
forward
I
to a
am
great year.
going to leave. So have a good night, everybody.
Bye, Cynthia.
Okay. Good night.
So moving on in the agenda. Mike? Thank you. We have the wonderfulness of contracts to approve. I think I'll turn this over to Jonathan to go through them. And or should I just call for the vote on each one? Okay, so we have 9D, approval of the 20 to 23 clerical contract. I'll take a motion for that.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 2020 to 2023 clerical contract as presented this evening.
Okay, if we have a second on that, please.
Second.
I think we can only do a voice vote on these. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All in favor?
Are you going to do a roll call? Sure. I think
think you have
I think you need to. Do you need to do a roll call? Does anybody
during
know the-
remote meetings, that's what we're doing.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. If we have a roll call vote, please, on approving the clerical contract. Joe's up first on my screen. I'm just going down the screen. Michelle, do you want to call the roll?
Yeah, Joyce, I was going to say, Michelle can do
There you
it.
go. She's got it.
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
Are you muted?
Move on.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
I did not hear Jim, right?
Aye.
No.
There we go.
There you go.
Stay unmuted, Jim. There's a few votes coming up.
I
Yeah.
think Cheryl's computer has caused a problem with mine.
Infected you?
It's a Zoom thing. It's a Zoom thing.
It's the dog.
Moving on
It's the
to
dog's fault.
E, which is the approval of the food service contract for 2023. If Michelle would call the roll call, please.
Well, I'll make the motion.
Oh, thank you.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 2020 to 2023 food service contract as presented this evening.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Michelle, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Thank you very much. The next contract is the approval of the 2023 custodial contract.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 2020 to 2023 custodial contract as presented this evening.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Item G, approval of the 2023 paraprofessional contract.
I make a motion that we approve the 2020 to 2023 paraprofessional contract as presented this evening.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Michelle, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Thank you, Michelle, very much.
Welcome.
Item H, COVID-19 state funding resolution. Mr. DeForge, do you want to present that?
Sure. Just if I can just take a quick second to publicly thank our union representatives who worked with us. Doing it through email and Zoom had its challenges at times, but it was very collaborative. I appreciate them being willing to do the negotiations the way we did them this year, and I thank you for them for being able to wrap them up quickly here and add some good things to their contracts. So anything,
Thank Jonathan and Mary for all the work that they did on them too.
and Mr. Plunkett as well. Yes, don't forget him. So yes.
Bill's not here. So.
Well, public thing. So, Mr. Tebow, if you could share that resolution for me, I would be appreciative. 9H1, if you don't mind, Mr. Tebow. Thank you. So this is a resolution. At the top, it's addressed to our governor, education secretary, education commissioner, Senate president, House speaker, and then joint education committee co-chairs, as well as the local delegation of our state representatives and our town administrator and town manager in our respective towns. This is something that has been going around for the last 2 weeks or so. The MASC newsletter. I believe there's over 60 districts that have now signed on to it. And it's just, I think the bottom line in bold sums it up pretty well. There can be no unfunded mandates for COVID-19. And obviously the concern here is that, districts are being asked to do a lot as far as social distancing and PPE. But at the same time, budgets are up in the air and maybe cut, we don't know. So it's just a resolution to, encourage our state legislators to continue funding education to the highest level possible. So I figured we could present it here. It would be good to show, remind our delegation, who has been very good to us over the years, one of them is new, of this. And so yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Does anybody have any comments or questions?
Just thinking we need to change Jen Benson's name
Right.
in the CC line.
Yes, it's Mr. Daniel Sena?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Pina?
Yes, SENA. But yeah, thank you for catching that.
I don't know, it's just a style point at the very end, the bold face, there can be no unfunded mandates for COVID-19. I just know that the word for our representatives, every time that comes up, I've been at selectmen reviews, the unfunded mandate thing, although everybody knows they happen all the time, they kind of bristle at the wording. I think the body of the resolution is clear and concise and gets the point across. And I think that the bold-faced line at the end probably doesn't help a lot. That's just a style review from me.
Anyone else? Comments or additions that you'd like to see? Do we want to let it go as it is, or do you want to definitely take that out. What's the will of the committee?
I'm fine with either way. That's just my style opinion. I'd be interested to listen to anybody else.
I don't know if it's necessary, because it already says it about the funding. I can go either way, but I certainly, if people are feeling like it's going to really offend somebody, then I would say take it out.
Jonathan, is this a template that was provided by Mask?
Yes, correct.
So that's probably something that was
Oh.
is on. If everyone's using a template, they're using the same thing.
Right. It is a template, and I actually just looked it up on their Google Doc, and they're up to 87 now. So, you know, we're a little behind the curve just because of the timing of it. So I'm sure by the time they get ours, they may not provide. You know, they've heard from their delegation.
This is a reinforcement, not a new thing.
They'll just look at the name of the district and not open the document again.
Right,
Yeah.
there you
All
go.
they have to do is just read the bold print. You know, they don't have to go through the rest of it, right?
I think they really want to.
Whereas it is a template, I would suggest just leaving it for now.
Okay.
Joe?
I think they want to just really emphasize the fact that the state will be paying for this stuff, and you're not going to have to do it yourself.
Yeah, correct.
I don't see it as necessary either, but if that's their form, then
Yeah.
I don't really.
I think we just get on the bus.
Yeah,
I'm with
I
you.
agree.
Yeah, let's get on the bus.
Sitting every other row, that is.
There
Yeah,
you
as
go.
long as we change that representative name, we don't want to send
Right.
out something with someone that's no longer in office.
Right.
Right. And I would just, can you scroll down, Mr. Tebow, if you don't mind? Yeah, we just need to update the set of the positions as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think it's good. And with that, I will make a motion that we send this resolution to those listed at the top of the page.
Second.
Motion made and
Cha-cha.
seconded. Michelle, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Yeah, that was the scariest thing when they started coming out with these things. I'm like, yeah, but where's the money? So I think this is real important to throw our hat in the ring. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Good thought. Moving on. We're to item number 10. If there's no other new business to come before the committee, superintendent's report. If you would, please.
Madam Chair. Beginning with the district updates, I just wanted to update the committee on the return to school plan. I had notified you that we're anticipating an announcement from the governor early this week, and that announcement has not been made, as you all know, and we're anticipating it that the governor will be making an announcement soon. And as you know, we have the Return to School Advisory Board with about 60 members. We're working under actually 5 functional categories. If you remember, the student support, operations and management, teaching and learning, student supports, English language, special ed, maybe I repeated one, but we have the 5. And under the teaching and learning, we have elementary, middle school, and then high school. And we had our 3rd meeting today. Our 4th one is scheduled tomorrow. The meetings typically go about 2 hours. And we're doing some really great work. I think I presented the model that we have 3 potential models or possible models. The in-person, back to school, the hybrid, which would be in-person and remote, and then of course the remote. We are certainly strengthening our remote model. We have been directed by the commissioner to be prepared for a remote model where, there's been some research and projections that maybe we're going to have a surge in September or December, and so we want to be prepared. So talking about the remote, you know that through my tenure here, I've administered a lot of surveys to parents and to students, and you know, every year I've been given an annual student survey and so on and so forth. So we administered a survey to the students and to the teachers and to the parents on remote learning. And we took the comments and the results, and I wanted to share them with you tonight. If you could click on, we wanted to inform the each committee that's working, particularly around teaching and learning. What, yeah, Mike, if you click on the link, they'll see the survey. So we wanted to collate the information and look for themes. You know, what are teachers, students, and parents all saying? So just a quick review of the actual survey. We had 639 parents respond, 141 teachers, and then student responses, K to 5, 153, and 6 to 12, 357. And so under the technology resources, was it easy accessible? 76% of the parents said yes. We didn't ask that teacher the question, and then the student responses, 58 K to 5 said it was easy. 6 through 12, 44% easy.
I'll start on yours.
15% difficult, K to 5, and then 16% difficult in 6 through 12. Getting help with and support with the work at home, 78% of the parents agreed they were supported. Teachers, 98% felt supported through the district. 82% felt we had good guidance, and 78% felt supported with the professional development. And students, K to 5, 76% said yes. 6 through 12 said 37% said yes. So there's something we would be looking at. And then feedback that there was from the teachers, clear feedback. Parents, 66% said yes. 64% said it was frequent, and 66% said it was clear. And then for the students, K to 5, 65%, and then the 6 through 12, 37%. And then the quality of the resources that we had for teachers, to parents, 50% thought they were very good, 77% thought they were good, 35% very good, and then 68% good plus, okay? And then teachers, 74% said the quality of the resources and their remote experiences was good. So we asked the parents, you know, what would be the model, their preference of the model. 42% said they would prefer a hybrid model. 34% they prefer an in-person, and then 18% said they prefer the remote model. And I did communicate this information to the commissioner. The commissioner had asked superintendents for feedback, particularly around if anybody had conducted surveys, and we had just conducted ours, so I did communicate this to the commissioner. Transportation, we asked if parents would be willing to send their children on bus. 47% said yes. 18% will not use the bus. 30% will drive their student, and 4% the students will drive themselves. So we assume those are the students. And you know, the final column is just the percent of responses that we got for the questions about what worked well, what was hardest, and how can we improve from the parent group, the teacher group, and then the students. So overall, our surveys were pretty well responded to. You have a high rate. I think it's like around 20%. So you know, we had a pretty good rate for a survey from all three of our stakeholders in our district. So if you could go down, Mike, to the next. So then we looked for themes. So what we did is we color-coded themes from parents. So if you look at the chart, it'll say parents. So what worked well, the parents said Zoom sessions, the teachers said the Zoom meetings with the children, the K to 5 students said Zoom meetings, and the 6 through 12 students said Zoom meetings. You know, the next blue, what worked well, parents, items were available in one spot. The teachers, they liked the same platform, such as Seesaw. The K to 5 students liked the weekly checklist from the teacher. The first grade team structure of assignments, and then 6 to 12, they liked Google Classroom. You know, so the other piece about this, and I won't go through all of the themes, common themes among the groups, but it's not only for the remote learning that, we want to look at these things and what worked well is what we can apply them to our in-person learning. For example, a lot of students, if you look K to 5 and 6 to 12, they really liked being able to work at their own pace, and the parents said the same thing. So it's something we need to look at around learning and our students, that, not all students can learn at the same rate and at the same time and move on. And, it's really something that we need to consider, whether, we're in a remote or hybrid, but eventually we will be back to in person. And I think it's a really strong and powerful theme, and something we know about learning anyhow, that learning time is correlated to learning. And, we had weekly staff meetings, and I would always talk about somebody can do an assignment in 10 minutes and be at A or 100, and somebody else needs 30 minutes to do that same assignment, but the quality is the same and it's still an A or 100. And I think we really, a lot of students wrote that. And so, I think it was very powerful. And, I guess for parents and anyone who will be watching this, when we put out surveys, it's not something we just do and get back and then, put it somewhere and not listen, to what people have to say. A parent summarized it best, that more teacher-led instruction, easier way to submit assignments, easier way to access assignments, so many clicks to print one assignment, and more constructive feedback for students. So as we build a learning plan for remote learning, which if we're in that model, we would want it to be more robust and rigorous. And so these are the things that the teachers will be looking at and including in the remote learning plan. If you could go down one to the next, and then we looked at what didn't work well. So parents felt there were too many sites to go to, and K to 5 students said the same. And then 6 to 12 students, if you go down to the yellow, said there were too many postings, too many places to look for information. What else didn't work well? There was too much work or not enough work. Teachers, had difficulty estimating the amount of work in a remote learning plan. And we all have to remember, nobody had any training, nobody was prepared, schools closed abruptly, and then we moved to a remote model. 6 to 12 students said there was too much work. Going down to parents again in the lavender, had to organize all assignments or follow how assignments were organized. Teachers wrote routines, kept changing in each phase. So as you know, we had 3 phases. K to 5 students said Zoom schedule wasn't consistent, content not organized. And then 6 to 12, hard to track all the Zoom meetings, assignment schedules overlapped. So today, so we have the breakout rooms when we do the Zoom meetings for the Return to School Advisory Board. So Mr. Cleary will stay in the teaching and learning group, and I will visit each of the other groups or committees. And so we talked about the need to have like a master schedule. So when teachers are scheduling Zoom sessions as such, everybody can see the schedule and there's no overlap or conflicts, for students and parents. We also talked about the need that students, many of them do need to be trained in Google Classroom. We also are going to be doing some Zoom trainings for the teachers and administrators as well, because there is a lot of features in Zoom that we just didn't have a chance to do some of this work. So, parents felt there wasn't enough direct teaching, not enough Zoom meetings, not enough students in the meetings. Teachers struggled with engaging all students. K to 5 students felt that there wasn't a teacher there to help. And then 6 to 12 would say, assignments and instructions weren't clear and there wasn't any one-to-one support. So I think this is very powerful and very informative to the school district of what our parents need, our students, and our teachers. The next one is on how can we improve, and you'll see the consistent Zoom schedule, clear schedule for teachers in meetings, clear and consistent office hours and teacher schedules, and over to 6 to 12, a clear schedule for classes. Just more other examples, parents, more Zoom meetings, required meetings, teachers require Zoom meetings, more Zoom sessions. I mean, we require students to participate in remote learning. And as you know, we distributed the technology department. I think, Mike, we're almost close to 200 Chromebooks. We've let the students keep the Chromebooks over the summer. And, if they need to do any work, we've kept the learning resource platform available to parents on the website. where our summer reading is also posted, and we also have posted some of the summer enrichment opportunities. So overall, generally, I think the district was pretty successful. And there's always areas to improve and to do better, and you do that by getting feedback and then taking and acting on that feedback, not letting it just sit somewhere. So I don't know if the committee has any comments or questions about the survey results.
I'm going to go to something Cheryl said at the beginning of all this. She said, normally if you set this up, you'd be studying it for 3 years and then you might experiment with it on a small scale. And it got jumped into in about 3 hours. Yeah. And it was an awful lot of work. And I think your results here look to me like really good because with the amount of preparation that you had and a totally different way of doing things. So I would interested what the teachers felt. And I talked to someone from another school district and it sounded like our district was doing a lot more than their district was. So that's just what I ran into on a personal basis. So I know it was a lot of work, and if we thank the teachers for going out of their way to do this, not that we had a choice, but it was really, and Mike Tebow said he just distributed 400 Chromebooks, not 200 Chromebooks.
Sorry about that. I'm not omnipresent, and my, everybody does. You expect everyone to do their job and meet the needs, and Mike Tebow certainly does that in his technology department. And while I'm on the topic of Mike Tebow, at the beginning of the meeting, Mr. Quinty stated he hoped this would be our last Zoom meeting and that we could resume our face-to-face meetings. And I want to thank Mike Tebow for hosting all of these Zoom meetings for the school committee since March. He's done a lot for the district as well. So thank you, Mike. And we hope you'll be released from your hosting duties. But, as the commissioner has said, and we all, I emphasize it with the teachers, every time we meet, we have to be flexible and we have to be adaptable because we just don't know, we know what's going to happen in the future. And we could get a plan from the governor, and then the Department of Education will send out the detailed guidance to us. And we have to be prepared for any change. And it could come at any time. So I think if we've all learned something from this, it's about being flexible and adaptable and really looking at, the needs. And again, I'll say this data that we have is just not for our remote learning. There's a lot of things that we can do in person with our students in the classroom to improve their experience and their learning. So
anybody else have any comments or questions on the survey? Because it looks really good.
Yeah, I think
I do.
Go ahead. Fight it out, guys. Jim, you're at the top of your screen.
Yeah, I was just saying that the one thing that jumped off the page for me was that the amount of parents that would be amenable to either remote or hybrid systems for the fall, that is really the measurement that says that you had a good base and people had a decent experience at home. Having to come into it cold like that and to get those sort of numbers that said they'd be open to that kind of thing means that you've done a lot of stuff well. And I think of the entire thing that I just saw out of this entire survey, that's the one measurement that I think shows exactly how well we did.
Well, thank
Joe,
you.
did you have something you wanted to say?
Me?
Joe had his hand up.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I would just think if we end up with hybrid or with remote, I think it's really important to develop some type of grading system.
We lost you, Joe.
I can't. Joe, you're muted.
Doing what they need to be doing. There needs to be some way to check in better.
I'm getting nothing.
It's fading in and out.
Yeah. Cheryl?
Yes. I have a lot to say about this, so I'll try to keep it short to this because I lived it every day. So I appreciate the data that you collected. It's so helpful. And the color coding, you must have a degree in special education because that is what you do. So a couple of things that I saw. Yes, Joyce, we would have trained not just teachers, but kids on how to learn in this way. And this is not an optimal way of learning for a lot of kids. So I have to give those that really tried to engage a lot of credit too, because this was not an easy thing for them to jump into. One of the things that came out in the data was like the certain things where they like the structure, but yet within that structure, we need to work on, if we're going to continue with any kind of remote learning, to have that structure even better so that it's consistent. So I hear this consistency, not having to go looking in all different places depending on which class or which teacher, that there's consistency from classroom to classroom. The other thing that I noticed is that kids and parents and teachers seem to really appreciate some of that flexibility and sort of independent learning for kids, and not all of them sort of working in at the same time, in the same way, the same amount of time, and that this kind of allowed some of that flexibility. And to keep that in mind when we are back at school, that kids learn and are motivated and feeling good about school or whatever at different times and in different ways during the school day. So that's where I would leave it. It kind of scares me to think we're going to be doing this again in the fall, but I think we are better prepared based on what the data that you collected and how to sort of continue to make improvements with this this practice. And that's it.
Thank you, Cheryl. Michelle?
I guess first I just want to express my appreciation to not only the teachers, but the administration. I know this was a lot of work. Not only the past 3 months doing this remote learning, on the drop of a dime, we had to switch what we were doing and try to do the best that we could with the resources we have. And I think everyone delivered and did a great job. But also now when we're trying to plan for a reopening and having to plan for 3 different scenarios, it's an enormous amount of work. And there's so much involved. And I just want to express my appreciation for everyone that's doing that work. It's tireless and it's been ongoing. And I know that you guys are probably at the point of burnout. And I just wanted to just say how much I appreciate it. And one other thing, I can't access the survey results. So if at some point, if someone could just either email me them or just allow me access just so I can look at them a little bit better, I would appreciate it.
You can't see them now on the screen?
I can see them on the screen, but I wanted to take some time to look at them. I can't.
Yeah, okay.
Jonathan, you're the last person.
So my question was just going to be sort of follow up to, so in the next couple of weeks, we'll have guidance as far as what the state says, and then we'll have more granular guidance as we go local, right? Is there a plan to?
I think, excuse me, but the commissioner is expected to, the governor is expected to release the guidance this week. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Obviously it's a hard decision. The Commissioner of Education, his job, really, really difficult. And, of course, for school superintendents, it has been hard. But, Jim, back to your point too, because I was reading on this chart, the one that Mike has, a parent response, and Jonathan, I'll get back, but I lost my something, but the quality of resources, so the parents said 50% were very good and 77% were good. So if you look at that totally, I mean, those are huge numbers. And then the quality of the remote experience, 35% of the parents said very good and 68% said good.
Right.
Pretty high numbers. And then the teacher
High numbers.
74% were good too. So, I want to thank, all of it from Mr. Cleary to Mr. Tebow to all of the principals and Tara Bozak and and then the teachers, of course, because they're the ones doing the real work and well, not that we're not doing real work, the rest of us, but really, they it was a group effort, and in the district, people were very calm. There was, they just did what they had to do, and I was very proud of all of it, parents and students and teachers. It was very calm, and we seemed to roll it out really well. So I can't thank everyone enough. And success isn't just by one person. It takes a village, and that true words have never been spoken.
Well, if you could pass on to all those people what all of us are feeling, that would be super.
Sure will.
Because this is really hard.
I have a meeting with them tomorrow, and I've told them that before at another meeting that you thanked them. So I will make sure I tell them tomorrow as well. All right. Any other comments? I think, Jonathan, did I cut you off? I'm sorry.
You did, but that's okay. Fine.
That's the understanding and the calmness.
It's fine. No, my question was going to be, so, again, you'll have the announcements from the governor, hopefully this week. We'll take those, bring them in to locally. Is there plans to engage parents again with a similar survey on percentages of what they can think of? Because I know is when I took the survey, right, there were a lot of unknowns there as far as, what the conditions would be. So am I interested in hybrid right now? Yeah, but am I interested in hybrid if all the students need to wear, gowns and masks and face shields? Maybe not. And then I guess my other question was going to be sort of, is there engagement to see our parents pulling kids out because they don't feel that they want to send their child to school under those conditions?
Yeah, that's a great suggestion, and we will. So there's a lot of legal briefs that are coming in about if it was an in-person model and somebody is has a compromised health issue or a certain thing. So there's going to be a lot of variables depending on what the model is. So I think the plan here will be to get the governor's going to announce the model to everyone, and then how I communicate that. I haven't seen what it is yet, so I'm not really sure. I always want to think first and then try to decide what's the best way. And then we'll get the guidance from the commissioner, which will really drive the model. And at that point, yes, we, depending on what it is, I mean, it might be, I don't know if it's going to be in person, but it could be. And there might be people that say, families, I'm not sending my child. I don't feel it's safe. So we definitely would want to know that, Mr. DeForge, if parents, how they're going to react to the model and what they're willing or not willing to do as far as what that model is and what they feel comfortable with or what they feel safe with. We've already ordered plenty of the PPE. We actually got some of the gowns already came in. We've ordered face shields. Actually, the robotics team in Dormino One, they're making us some face shields with our 3D printers, and we're ordering sanitizers for all the classrooms and the wipes. We don't feel that teachers should be responsible to have to provide those things. I mean, wipes and hand sanitizer and hand washing is going to be a way of life of schools long after I'm sure COVID-19 or coronavirus is they find a vaccine or whatever. So I think the first, we get the governor's model, then we get the guidance from the commissioner. We're having one return to school board meeting tomorrow, and then we have one scheduled for July 7th. So the committees are doing some really good work, and tomorrow they're really going to, they really like the model that, you populate the in-person, how would we welcome back families and students. And so how would we do that in person? How would we do that in hybrid? How would we do that in a, remote platform? Because no matter what, like I told them, there's a lot of work that we can do no matter what. There are still going to be district decisions for all districts in the Commonwealth. I mean, the commission is not going to, tell us how to welcome students back or how to assess learning loss and some of those things. So, and then I think, Jonathan, back to your point, then we'll bring back, we'll look at the plan, and then we'll bring it back to the advisory board. In the meantime, we're started to work on the publication of the plan for families and school committee. So that work is going on while the advisory work is going on, because I mean, some of these return to school plans, some of them are like 156 pages. So we already have the format done, of course, and Michelle Town and Jess Rakeup and such will all work on this, because we'll have to put a lot of information in for families depending on the models and so on and so forth. And then once we get that complete, then I have on here future school committee meetings, and we'll have to have a school committee meeting so I can bring it to you. And then, deciding how to present to parents, if we can do it in person or Zoom. I think, I think Ms. Warner earlier, I heard her say about, when you have 3 children and getting out. I've already talked to the principals and Mr. Cleary about, we really need to be thinking about Zoom parents work. I mean, Zoom meetings work with parents at night. I think that, when we want to roll out something new, we want to do an MCAS workshop, or we want to present a new curriculum like Eureka Math, I think it works for families. And I'll be interested to see. We're gonna try that model, because we understand, you get home at 6 o'clock and you have kids and dinner and you've worked all day and it's really rainy and raw out, and you intend to go to this meeting at 6:30, and then you just say, you know what, I can't go. So, and that will be the piece, and then the survey in between. So that's basically the timeline and the structure and schedule for how we'll roll it out, and in that a survey to determine where families stand on the model that we're going to be moving forward on.
Thank you.
Thank you. That very much answered my question. Thank you.
Joyce, can I just ask a quick question?
Sure, please do.
So, Dr. Malone, is it your understanding that the governor's announcement is going to be a definitive one of the 3, or is that something that he may change depending on numbers in August? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I have no idea what he's going to say. I do know that he holds the authority of schools.
Okay.
The opening and closing of schools. So he is in charge. And, he's taken that authority away from the commissioner. So I'm sure the commissioner and the governor are working very closely together.
Right.
And so I don't know exactly what the governor is going to say, but I do think, or we all think, that it's going to be how schools will reopen in the fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
But just curious. Wasn't sure if you had any inclination, knowing you don't have a crystal ball.
No, we had the superintendent's conference call with the commissioner last week. So, there's information, but we know he asked us to keep it confidential. And so I keep it confidential, so
totally get it.
I don't know if that's, we don't know. Things can change. Things change very quickly.
Yeah.
Excellent survey. Excellent.
Thank you.
Jim?
Nope. I'm good.
All right, just going to move through the Peaceful March. As you know or may not know, we have 2 students, Denham Gorham and Justin Cullinan, who organized the Peaceful March. And other, I think, are ASRSD students. And it's going to take place tomorrow, Thursday, June 25th at 2 p.m. At the high school. And those interested in participating should meet at the high school at 2 p.m. So we'll look forward to that. Summer learning. We're still working. I think I had communicated the model. The Title I Power Up program is going to be completely remote. Special education for students K through 5 is going to be in person, and I think I've talked about it before, that it will be a soft opening for us and a good model to see, how it works, and the physical distancing and the PPE and all of that. So that's slated to start July 13th. The plan has not been put out yet because we're expecting final guidance on that. It was supposed to be at the end of this week, and I think tomorrow's only Thursday. Then summer professional development, and Mr. Cleary did a good job of putting together a really robust professional development plan for the summer. And I think there are quite a few of our educators, I know there are, taking advantage of the professional development that we were able to put forth. And then under facilities, the high school parking lot, the excavation is going to start on July 6th. And they anticipate the installation of the new parking lot to be about 3 weeks. And then lastly, the Page Hilltop curbing. As you know, the curbing at the school has been in disrepair and is a safety issue, and we're going to be starting that work within the next week or so as well. So it's my report.
Thank you, Mary. Anyone like any questions or anything?
Just a quick
Hearing
question.
none, we will move on.
Just a quick question about the parking. I don't remember how many how many spots for students will there be an increase?
Unfortunately, we thought about 50, but I think it's going to be about 31. It's either 31 or 31, Cheryl. I'm not exactly, I know it's one of those numbers, but yeah, I want to say 31.
Okay. Just looking at the data you collected about how many more, it seems more kids will be driving to school. Cars are probably more available because parents are either working from home or they're not working. I wonder about that.
Yeah, no, it's probably really good timing, right? If more students are going to be. Yeah.
Except
we
the
could
kids
ride
can't get there.
bicycles, we don't have to bring cars.
Well, there's also another point that Michelle made at one time that, when you go to the high school during the day, there's really no visitor parking. And so we have, obviously our schools, we want them to be open and family. So this will also, we'll create some visitor parking, right in the front. And we haven't finalized how we're going to reorganize the parking lot, but we may move the faculty over to those parking spaces because they can go in that side door. Mm-hmm. And usually, you have the faculty separate from student parking and visitor parking. So that's kind of where we're thinking.
Okay. Anybody else? Superintendent Malone? Ongoing business that's listed as none. Subcommittee reports, I think we kind of did the diversity and equity already, but we are going to proceed and work on something to come up fairly soon. We'll have further announcements on that, so I think we went over that fairly well at the beginning of the meeting. Mr. Quinty, policy IK.
Madam Chair, can I I'm sorry,
Sure.
Under the district improvement plan, I won't go through it. Typically in June, I give you a status report. So the plan is in your drive. It's many, many pages. So we have the district strategic plan, and then we have an action plan, which are actions to achieve our goals and objectives. So I won't go through it, but I haven't updated it yet as to provide you a status and what we've accomplished or what's ongoing yet. I just want to let the committee know that we did complete the action plan, and it's available to you based on all of those strategic objectives, the 5 that we have. So in August, I will plan to come back and give you a status report of what we accomplished this past year. As you know,
Okay, I was thinking that was part of your report.
I'm sorry. So that's all I'll say, unless anyone has any questions.
Anyone has any questions? Hearing none, seeing none. If we can move on, Mr. Quinty, do you want to work on policy IKF graduation requirements?
Yeah, it looks like everything is in here as we had discussed and I had read through before. Just one minor typo on page 2, and it would be at the another's need, so it should be R''S at the next to third from the last paragraph.
Second page.
Yeah, page 2. You go down to right there at the top of that, another's, so it just has to be ''S. And then everything else here seems to have transferred well.
Any questions, additions, or corrections anyone would like to add? Hearing none, is there anyone who would like to make a motion to do this for the second reading?
I'll make a motion that we approve this, as this is a second reading, that we approve the changes to policy IKF.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Thank you, Jen. That's a lot of good work, and that's a good thing to have done. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Is there any other business to come before the board? I have no chairman's notes since I didn't have any. Any other topics reasonably anticipated 40 hours, not reasonably anticipated 40 hours in advance of this meeting?
I just have a question, Joyce. I don't know if you can see me. This is Sharice, the parent, still here. I was waiting here to figure out the reports, I guess, of the subcommittee for diversity and equity.
Mm-hmm.
So we did talk a good deal about it through the whatever public participation piece. So I am curious, and not to beat a dead horse. However, I didn't know if I missed something, or maybe there were some reports from that subcommittee passed, what plans were. I think
you were at the last meeting that we had before
I ran that.
COVID-19.
Yeah. Yes.
And so I just need to work to make a Zoom meeting, and that would be working with our technical department. And so then when we can settle that, then we can put out an announcement. And of course, I called people today to get their feedback, and unfortunately we didn't connect with everybody. But I'll get back to you on that to see how soon we can do it. And I'll probably see you tomorrow.
Yeah, yes, I definitely will be there tomorrow. So thanks for coming. I think that I'd like to just take this platform too, not to take anybody else's time, but through just thinking of myself and the stuff that I've been going through for a while, I think that honestly I'm just going to recuse myself or walk away from the diversity and equity subcommittee. I don't honestly feel as though I'm a little disappointed that there are members on this page on this Zoom call that haven't said anything about it. I'm kind of sick of holding my tongue about it. I waited here for 2.5 hours or 3 hours, whatever it is, thinking that something was going to happen, and I'm kind of over it.
Well, if you would like, I'm sorry to hear that, because I think
yes.
it's very important.
Yeah, I know. Yes. Yep.
So we'll see what we can do to move forward.
I'm also here, and I've been waiting as well to hear the report from the subcommittee, and I'm very familiar with.
We didn't actually have a report because we actually didn't have a meeting to report.
So then it shouldn't be on the agenda.
And we put it on the agenda so we could set the next meeting and see if we wanted to do a Zoom thing. And that was what I got from everybody, was they wanted to do that. There are no officers. You mentioned officers, and you're quite right. There is not a set committee yet, a set officer committee. And, and of course we know we needed to do that. It's just that COVID-19 kind of upset the whole apple cart for all of us, as we well know, a lot of nervousness and upsetness and everything. So, it seemed like a very difficult thing to do from the position where we were at the moment, and we will move forward.
I mean, we've been sitting here listening to you guys talk about parking at the high school and everybody commenting, and so many people were silent when Sharice and Erica spoke. It's actually unbelievable. I'm thankful for this format so I can speak, but I'm shocked.
We appreciate all your comments at the beginning, and we can go on from here. And I certainly hope that both of you and Erica are all going to stay on the committee. So
I am not, Joyce.
Like Sharice said,
I'm not.
We need to face these hard things. And
I face them every second of the day. And for me to have the strength as a mother of 3 that works from home and has been homeschooling and everything you all talked about that I worked my tail off to do, and I sat right here from 6:30 to almost 9 o'clock. This is not as important as you want it to make it sound right here.
This is very, very important.
Joyce, I appreciate
it's important to all of us, because to start a subcommittee,
I started
this could have been left in the school. This could have been left internally in the school.
But it wasn't in the school. There was nothing in the school. They told my daughter that she couldn't have this committee.
No,
They
I
told
think that,
her.
I think that if we ask Mary, she can point out many, many things that have gone on in the school, that have gone on in training and everything already. And
No, she can't. I've talked to her several times, Joyce, and I know this is recorded, and I know that this is recorded both audio and through video. And I sat there, and I'm very kind, and I'm very patient. There are not things. She cannot tell me things. I have asked, one of the things that I said was for PD for teachers. I asked that, please, so that when my child comes to you, you have the skills to be able to deal with it. Because they said that they wish that they could go to Africa to see how she feels. That was a guidance counselor. This is not of importance.
We can move on and put stuff like that not happening. You know, but you have, and sometimes you have to unearth them. Cheryl?
Thank you for your time.
So I would ask that everybody step back a little bit. I can't say I understand what your experiences have been. But I think globally, everybody is very emotional, and from that emotion, I think some good things can happen. I think we need to step back. We need to set a meeting. I would love to be involved in that. I am involved in some stuff in my own school or where I work, because this is very similar there. There has to be a very specific goal for the committee.
And we were working on those goals when COVID-19 came up. We were working on those goals. Therese was outlining them, and we just hadn't gotten to making them solid yet. Do you agree with that, Therese?
Excuse me. Sorry. Let me just say this. I think that as much as we want to focus on the global approach, Therese and I and the rest of the parents are trying to focus on what's happening here in the Charlie school system. So what I'm going to ask here is just like suggested, if we're going to have a separate meeting, my ask is going to be this recorded. My ask is going to be that we all sit down and stop talking about a global level and get down to specifics for this school district. Because we're very, very tired, and I can't explain it. This is not the time to sit and pass on the head. And that's what we're trying to get across to you. And we should not have to yell. We shouldn't have to scream. We shouldn't have to get outside of our normal personalities to come across to anyone on this school committee. So with all of the writing and all the suggestions and all of the resources that you guys are coming across with, we've told you multiple times that we as parents are resources. We're not being paid attention to, and we're not being listened to. So I want to be very clear. Our next steps, if we are not listened to, if we are not coming to the table to work together, is going to be to then go to our state representation, our local legislation. If we cannot get accomplished what we need to get accomplished here and now. We need transparency, we need honesty, and this is not the time to placate us and talk about global level. We are talking about here in our community now, period.
So Erica, do you think that this subcommittee working together can help that? Where we draw other people in, and I've already had somebody from the administration who wants to work with us on this, and of course that's perfect, right? Because you need the ebb and flow, and we didn't have that when we started with, and so I would like to see if we could continue working through this, and we need all the voices there. If we don't have all the voices there, then we can't.
Those voices are there. We've told you that multiple times. You do not have buy-in from parents because of the reaction that you're giving right now. Period.
I think that it's tough.
Go ahead and take over.
I'm sorry, Erica. This is not something that I think that if the however many people did not speak when I gave my piece about what happened.
If you're talking about the committee people.
In the beginning, when I spoke my piece, there were times that parents did come to that meeting, Joyce, and with all due respect, they were asked to not share their stories. And I remember having to cut them.
I think the first meeting where Erica was there and we did share stories. And I don't know if I can't remember if you were there or not.
First meeting. The first meeting started with stories.
I guess the point is, I really don't like doing these kind of things. I hate this. The point I'm trying to make is this. It takes a lot out of someone to be able to have this conversation. Once someone says, this is an issue with my child, they feel unsafe, this is what happened in our community, as you, just as clarification and for a little bit of context, as you guys were doing your meeting, I had several text messages from people in both Air and Shirley communities. On my daughter's page, sending pictures of Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman and articles around slavery. And when I call and I say, we need to do this stat, and it's not looked upon, and then all of a sudden someone has this bright idea that this needs to happen. No, Joe, Jonathan, Mr. Quinty, why? Why haven't you spoken a word about this? Why don't you feel the need to at least respond? When you see me in that basketball gym and I'm a parent, just like you are, why can't you connect with me there? And then I wait on here for 2.5 hours while I'm trying to do dinner and still be a parent so that I can be a representative of the parents in this community. And then the agenda item is skipped over.
I didn't mean to skip it over.
But that's what it is, Joyce.
We had decided on a way to go forward. And if you don't think that, then, how do you think we should go forward?
I am so sorry that I'm so upset about this. I was writing in the chat box. Thank you for the space to share. Thank you for the time and the ability to be able to do so. Thank God I have internet and I know how to access this, because that's a whole nother issue for some people in this community and in English language. But I'm all done. I will fight this battle for my children and my family like I always have, whether I was in this community or another one. But here in this setting, I no longer want to be a part of that.
Well,
no longer. Yes, I did do the
and I hope
vision.
that
I have the notes,
input.
but I appreciate it. I'm all done.
And I didn't, I know that we didn't move forward very rapidly, and I was frustrated by that. But when we announced meetings, and like you said, you sent emails to people who didn't come up and say anything. And, the people who were there were trying to move forward. It was hard. We only had 3 meetings, maybe 4. I'd have to go back and look at my notes. And I think that having a subcommittee that keeps it in public, I think it's very important, because otherwise it's really easy to just keep putting these things off. And we were trying not to do that. So if anybody wishes to go forward.
Joyce, this is Cheryl. I think with the committee moving forward, there has to be, if the goal of the committee is to share stories, then that's the goal of the committee. The goal of the committee is to look at different pieces that can promote change, like looking at curriculum, looking at policy. I guess
that's what I was hoping it was going to do. That, we would look at in depth at what needed to be done within the system to make it better, to make it right, to make it fair, and to make it proper. So we didn't quite get to that, but that was what I was thinking that it really should be. We have an idea for this. We have an idea for this curriculum.
Here's my suggestion then. If that's what you want to do, I think you need to do more listening, because there's not a lot of that going on. A lot of what I'm seeing, and I'm being completely honest, and it's not a judgment against any of you, but you all are white people trying to grasp other cultures, concepts, ideas, and what has gone on in their lives. You're trying to change the system, which is great. That's a great ideal. But we were not being heard. Even during the exchange between Sharice and yourself, you started talking over her. With me, I'm even trying to talk over you. What I'm basically saying is I think we need to review within the subcommittee, and I did try and look this up, but I didn't fully finish on the state website and working with some of the other state legislators to find out exactly what's supposed to go on in the various committees. I do think that what we're looking for is the opportunity to freely speak and collaborate together, as opposed to having sanctions put on us. I believe Cheryl, I think it's Cheryl Simmons, I think it's a great idea to have a separate meeting where we're focusing on exactly what the goal is and really collaborating, rather than saying, okay, well, even though this is your idea, this is how we do it. When you do that, it's very difficult when we're talking about, let's talk about, systemic oppression or systemic injustices. The whole point is that there's an issue with the system that we're trying to deal with. So the first thing we want to do is get out whatever the issue is that we're having with the system before we hear about how to operate within it, because we've already identified that there's an issue with it. So maybe if we can come together and allow everybody to talk on what that goal is first, let us get it out and explain how we're feeling that better. But that's not what's happening.
Madam Chair, can I?
Yes, please.
Make a comment, please. To Lauren, Sharice, and Erica, would you want to start and meet with me next week? Would you want to start that way first?
I don't mind meeting with you. I don't know if Sharice is gone. I do know that she's very final, on her position right now. But I have no problem meeting with you at all. My video isn't up if you're looking for sorry, but this is Erica. I don't have a problem starting to meet.
Okay, Sharice, I'm looking at Sharice is gone. Laura's still on here.
I'm happy to meet. I mean, I think, again, like, I'm a white parent in the district, and I have comments from white parents to share as well, and diversity is part of the reason we are here in the district. But this is really frustrating, and I feel like people on this school committee need to do some work on themselves right now. And I'm happy to meet with you. There are many other parents who'd be happy to meet with you. I suggest the first step is to go to the march tomorrow and really listen to kids' experiences in the district. And also to ask your other students, your LGBTQ students, your other Black, Brown, and Indigenous students, your faculty, and allow them to respond in a way that's anonymous so they don't have to face any sort of retribution. And ask them what their experience has been, because my guess is these aren't the only stories.
Sure. And we, all the surveys that we send out are anonymous anyhow. And so, we've sent out, I've sent out a student survey every year, and students have make a lot of comments. And I can tell you that that has not been a part of the survey. And it's about bullying. We ask about bullying and different things. So I'm not saying it doesn't exist and it doesn't happen at all, but I also have been meeting at the middle school with an advisory group every month for the last 4 or 5 years, and just talking freely about school and how kids feel. I meet at the high school with the same, with groups as well, and advisory. And so, there's been a lot of reach out to students, having family, I have coffee and conversation. I've held that for many years, inviting parents in. We sent out many surveys over the tenure, Laura. So we look for feedback, and we look to get input, and we want to hear what's happening in the district, and if people are having these really bad experiences. But to say something, we're not going to minimize it, but it's something. This isn't just the ear, Shirley. This is something that we all have to work on together. The community, the parents. In the staff, right? It's a triangulated response. It's everybody coming together and having a goal and a mission, and to work towards improving experiences for our Black students or our Brown students. I mean, you saw what I sent you today. We've done a lot of work for the LG group.
You said that there was a GSA developed last year at the high school, and I think that's great, but you're 15 years behind the curve, right? GSAs have been around in schools for 15, 20 years. And I get that. I'm just asking for plans moving forward at this point. I'm frustrated with the tenor of the committee tonight, and that we could have laughing about people's dogs barking in the background and people talking about that, but that no one spoke when Sharice and Erica shared their stories. Michelle.
Well, really what happens when we have public participation at the beginning, it's usually a statement from the public, and it's not usually commented on unless there was, a solid comment from the superintendent of something that happened or that was happening. So it's not the usual practice, but we could make it practice if you wanted to. But it's just, generally it's a reception of the information, and that's been the committee that ever since I've been on various committees. So
people were asked if they wanted
that, we could.
So
it's my understanding that it was, to get the public comment is fine. It was my understanding that then there would be further whatever work in the committee and not necessarily here in this, during the school committee meeting, again, to have to really set some very clear goals. Of course, people need to be heard, but to move forward, there has to be something very concrete that we're doing to address the issues that have been raised. So certainly I wasn't trying to ignore it. I assumed that this would go much further during the next committee meeting.
And I would reinforce that. I did not speak during the public part, and I haven't spoken with respect to things that you've been saying yet, because I felt that those are things that would be taking place during your committee, and I am all for all of the things going forward. I'm appalled by hearing that things have happened to your children in the schools with respect to that, and that you feel that there's nothing been done about it, which means that there probably hasn't been sufficiently. And I think that the committee is where people can be heard. There's not a lot that we can do at this particular meeting. We can't approve any policy because there isn't one going forward. We can't put anything into place because that has to all be discussed. But whatever is done, I think needs to start with people sitting down and talking about it in an appropriate place and coming up with action plans that we can approve. There's absolutely no question that this is a major issue, and when it affects the safety of children, then it is a concern to all of us, and we definitely want to be there. And I'm sorry that you and Charisse felt that we, by our silence, that meant that we were not necessarily in support of what you were talking about. But I did not feel there was anything I could add to the discussion. And so waiting for policy to be put together and action plan put together by the committee. And I think that's where things need to happen. And I hope that Charisse comes back and meets with the committee so that we can use her expertise to move forward.
I have a question I want to ask to the committee at large, and this relates to subcommittee policy, okay? If we're going to have a subcommittee, my interpretation is that we do have a school committee member present, which in this case is going to be Joyce. My understanding was that Joyce is there to hear what we're saying while we're formulating our ideas as a group, and then is more of a guide regarding how we take those goals, ideologies, and things into place, or maybe is a point of reference for how things are done at school, or at least points us in the direction of whoever we may need to speak to. I think that's what I want to kind of clarify before we get to that next step, because I'm a little confused on that. So can anyone speak to that?
Well, if I may, we can, since we have a committee of 6, we could have up to 3 school committee people attend those meetings. And if someone wants to step forward and be part of that, fantastic. That's the best thing. We simply can't have a quorum, but we can all receive information and do different things and stuff. Now, if the committees, if somebody from the committee wishes to attend a meeting, as long as there's no voting, then other people can show up, Erica. But we're kind of lucky because our committee is big enough that we can have 3, and it works well. Because to me, the more people we have, the more ideas, the more inventiveness that we can do, the better. So that would be the only thing that everybody gets a little nervous about, is when we have more than 3.
Sure. So, okay. So maybe I need to rephrase the question. So you as a committee member, or anyone, I'm just using you because you've been there, okay? But your role is that of a guide and contact, or is your role something else?
Well, I think we got to the point in the meetings of where we were trying to decide who basically, let's call it the steering group. Maybe there's other good words for that.
Okay.
You know, and we were getting to that point and looking at what we wanted to focus on and stuff. And it was difficult because, you know, we would get one person to come, we'd get two people to come, it would be the different people. So it really stuttered getting started. But maybe now it can be more organized and dedicated than we had before, Erica.
So when you say focus and dedication, are you talking about numbers, like with the numbers?
Well, the
of
same
interest
people
you're
coming
feeling
all the
with?
time, you know, the same people coming all the time. We tried to, you know, the people that did come, we tried to ask them what a good time would be for them and go forward. And then, you know, I think we were just starting to make some advancement, and, you know, we had some pretty good people showing up and enough numbers so that you weren't just, you know, having two people there. And then COVID-19, you know, the schools are closing down. We need to meet in a public place. The school is the best place because it's what the school, it's what it's about, you know. So I think we can try to just get it going again, Erica, and you did a really good job of getting it started. And we can see what we can advance. So I just feel it's a little early to throw up people's hands and go, this isn't working. Well, it isn't working. But it needs to work.
It's not about throwing up hands saying it's not working. The point is that
it
doesn't seem to be getting, it does. But I think what's not coming across here is that the frustration is that we're hearing, like I said, it's like a politically correct facade. We're seeing masks here. And that's the issue, is that nothing's coming across. I am really not interested in hearing politically correct things. I'm interested in getting to the nitty gritty.
No, I think we need to, and there's a huge review that this subcommittee can do that the full committee can't do. You know, looking at what our instruction is, looking what our, I think we all understand what our, what our ideals are, and then how to get to them.
And what you're doing right now is what happened at the subcommittee meeting, which is why Sharice was frustrated. We tried talking about this. We tried sharing our experiences with the parents that did come. And as soon as your words, your exact words, and I quote, "We will not be speaking about that here." Soon as the parents heard that, I don't want to hear you speak right now because I want to get this out. And I apologize for being rude, but I really need to get this out. When you say things like that, when you immediately shut people down and you don't allow them to get out the very things that they've been trying to either say and it's fallen on deaf ears, or they haven't been able to say because they know that it's going to fall on deaf ears, you're not going to get buy-in. And so basically what ended up happening was, as people came and gave their various responses, how they felt about what happened, soon as you uttered those words as a school committee member, you took away the buy-in from the people. We, as in Sharice and I, tried to get the parents there. They do not trust the school system. And because they don't trust the school system, we were the guinea pig. And the moment that you uttered those words in front of those people, they stopped coming. So I want you to understand that it's not that there's not buy-in into this idea. The reason that they're not buying in is the representation that you chose to operate in when you were there at the subcommittee meeting. Those were the words you said to me. And then when Sharice was about to say what she needed to say, you started talking over her. Sharice had an agenda that she had put together, and you said, no, this is the agenda we're going with. The moment that you do things like that in a situation like that where we're tentatively trying to come together to work together, that's when you don't have people buy in. That's what happened. Now, other members of the school committee
had some good
so I
goals.
understand that.
I think Sharice had put up some good goals, but then we never got back to them.
We didn't get to the goals because you were talking over us, just like you're doing now. If you're talking, you cannot listen. You can't. That's what happened.
Maybe the first education is education that I need.
I can't. I understand that's your education, but you are not a black woman. You're not a Black parent. You don't have Black children. So when you try and educate me about my culture and the experience of my child and myself, again, I've been through this school system since the age of 5. You can't educate me on that. You don't know. So when you shut us down and when you tell us to stop talking, and when you tell us not to share our experiences and the experiences as children, as adults, and as parents, no one has buy-in. If you want to have buy-in, I really need you to sit back and listen, which is why Laura Warner was trying to encourage the school committee to really listen to what's going on. And again, maybe other school committee members feel differently, but because they're not speaking, we can't tell. And I just want to point out to you that one of the common phrases that's going around is silence is betrayal. That is a very real statement right now. When there is silence, people think that you're complicit. And I just want you to take that and really think about it. And I understand that you're trying to move together as a committee and that you want to be careful, but that is how we feel. When you're silent, you're complicit in these actions that we're talking about. So if you're going to continue to talk over us and tell us what our agenda is and not allow ideas to freely flow, then you're not going to have buy-in from these parents. That's what happened.
Excuse me, Michelle, did you have something?
Me?
Michelle? Yeah, I thought you turned your thing on.
Oh, no, sorry, I was grabbing my cup and realized it was empty. But no, I guess I just think that maybe next steps are setting a meeting for this diversity. I just assumed that that's what was going to happen when this was on we were going to discuss what next steps were with this diversity and equity subcommittee. And I think maybe that's what we need to do is set up a meeting and have a forum so that we can hear what the issues are in our district, and then, based on that discussion, set some goals to move forward. I mean, a lot of what is coming out is things that I'm hearing. What's coming out in the last few weeks is the first time I'm hearing some of this stuff. So, hearing about experiences and trying to understand where the issues are and what the problems are will help formulate the solutions and how we can move forward. But I think we do need to have those conversations, and maybe setting up something. Unfortunately, it has to go through Zoom, which is a difficult forum, but setting something up, in the very near future is what I would like to see happen.
Michelle, would that be coming through a meeting with Mary, as was suggested before? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, it's not doing it. I tried to get it.
I think Mary had thrown out the idea, and I can't speak for, but I think Mary had maybe thrown out the idea of initially you guys meeting together, and then setting something up. I can't speak for Mary as to what your thought was, but that's what I would like to see happen. My understanding was the subcommittee would be doing some of this work and kind of identifying issues and what needs to be addressed and bringing it back to, and that's not the only work. I don't mean to say that's the only work. I just mean that's what I thought this committee's role was. And Mary, I defer to you.
Well, I didn't, Erica, can you repeat what you asked? Because there was some background noise, so I didn't hear what you asked about me when you said.
Sure. So I was saying, I'm sorry. What I was saying is, would the next steps be, would we meet with you to then decide a time for that separate meeting so that we can get started? Is that going to be the next step?
If that's what you would like, that's fine with me. Yeah. If that's what you prefer. Start with first.
Okay, then we can try to do that within the next week or so.
I'm sorry, Erica.
I'm just going to defer to Laura on that, just to make sure that she's on, that she agrees with that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I will send the whole committee the Google form next week. I'm going to reopen it up for folks after the march tomorrow because I wanted to allow students to focus on what they were doing. I might ask that you read what people have written so far.
It would be very good to get that.
That would be good.
Because it's shocking to me that people are surprised that this happens. This happens everywhere. It definitely happens in our community. I'm not surprised. I think people have been trying to tell these stories for a really long time, and they have really fallen on deaf ears. So I would be happy to meet. I would certainly invite other parents that have signed the petition to meet. And I also would encourage you to just listen to students. And I think if you meet, like, the main goal is really listening. At my school right now, if you're following Instagram, most private institutions have an Instagram account that is called something like Black at Andover, Black at Tabor, Black at Exeter. And I would encourage you to think about those stories happen at Air Shirley. And we have been having a series of listening sessions with our students at a school that prides itself on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that does consistent work with faculty. And we still really struggle because we live in this society. So I'm happy to meet. I'm not the best one to meet with. I think and I think, Charisse gets to make her own choices about whether she wants to re-engage. This is really hard. And so I would, there are many other parents in the district also who would be happy to share their experiences if they felt like people were going to listen, or they had a space that felt safe enough to do that.
So what I would just throw out there is maybe if you guys can meet with Dr. Malone separately, to start and to kind of discuss some of these things. If we could do, another meeting of the Diversity and Equity Subcommittee, maybe think about doing some forums where, we can, hear about some of the things that are happening. I don't know what the proper venue is for that, but I think there's definitely work that has to be done. But I think that a good start is maybe, mapping some of that out with Dr. Malone initially.
That's fine with me. I have no problem with that. So, Dr. Malone, what I could do is give the office a call tomorrow,
Sure.
so that we can start work on it.
That would be excellent. And I'll be there in the morning, and Michelle's there. You have the number, so we'll start there. That sounds great.
Thank you very much, everybody.
No, I just wanted to make one point, just as a matter of policy, and Joe touched on it briefly. I would guard anyone in the general public from reading into whatever our actions or reactions are in public participation. I've been on the committee since the district was formed, and myself and a lot of the other committee members, in that public participation forum, anyone can come up with anything they want in that aspect. The only time I've ever seen I've seen more response tonight than I've ever seen in that, but previously, the only thing any committee member would do would be to ask questions of clarification on something, because this is a very important issue to everybody. And if the school committee is going to deliberate on it, then we would be talking to the chair. It would be put in as an agenda item, and then everyone would get a chance to speak to what the issue is. But in public participation has been my policy, and I think overall the school committee policy, that we don't engage in that type of discussion in public participation because not everyone has had notice. I think the people that spoke tonight did a good job clearly stating their position, and there was nothing more I needed to hear to understand exactly where they were. So I would caution them not to read anything into the fact that certain committee members did not speak to the issue.
Thank you, Jim.
I get that.
Anyone else? Okay. If not hearing any or seeing any, if we could proceed, if there's any other things to come before the committee. Hearing none, I think we could vote to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Is there a second? If we don't want to adjourn, we can stay longer.
Second.
Second. Michelle, would you do a vote, please?
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
All right.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Ms. Simmons.
Aye.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.